Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
There's already 60 likes on this video. Yes, it is true. Daniel, it's just because I'm that good. Today we're going to talk about Friends. No, not the 90s TV hit TV sitcom show. We're talking about friends of all varieties. Today's The Rational Male. It's red pill lessons time. I need a drop for that. I think I need a drop for that. Howdy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, no dogs right now, but the studio door is open, so there could possibly be some today. There we go. All right.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
All right. Okay. Rollotomassi. Yeah. I see you guys. Thank you. Every now and then, whenever I post something that says, I hate being right all the time, and that's when everybody decides to go root through my Twitter feed from 2 years ago to go see what I talked about. That's coming true right now. Oh man. Sorry, I lost it, but thank you, Dan. He says religion is a masterpiece. I just finished it. Thank you very much. I'm glad you feel that way because that was a long time coming. That was a 3-year project. Technically, it was more like a 12-year project, but the writing and the research was a 3-year project. So thank you very much. Yes, religion is now available, as you can see there in my... there it is. I know it's backwards. It's backwards and upside down. So there you go. I've got Sam Bada. He is the moderator. Play nice and we'll all get along and we'll go through today's class because that's what today's going to be. I'm going to talk about friendship today. If you haven't done your homework already, children, you can find the relevant links to what I'm going to discuss today in the description of this video. I always put at least 3, sometimes 2, links to prior essays, or sometimes those are chapters in books that I have written. The 4 books that I have written now, I like to be able to say that. The 4-part series of The Rational Male, I have not yet... What do you say? Let me hold on a second. This is great. Don't listen to the trolls who's telling you to stay on topic. Repetition is the mother of all learning. Well, I have to get this stuff out in the beginning here because really I have to do a little bit of housekeeping, whatever you want to call it, in the beginnings of these shows. I guess I should probably just jump right in. I am going to jump right in actually today, but I wanted to also let you guys know that the fourth book, Religion, The Rational Male Religion, is available on Amazon. It is also available on Kindle, which is Amazon. Sam Bada, the voice of the Rational Male, is hard at work on the audio, the Audible version. He and I are working like little animals. I don't know, whatever's an industrious little animal. We're working on that, trying to get it tightened up and ready to go by March. So for everybody who's asking, I get this in every damn Twitter feed or every ad that I put up. When's the Audible coming out? Well, it's coming out in March. So that's our goal. That's our plan. So there you go. There you have it. That's the bookkeeping for today. The other thing I need to tell you guys is this, not this Wednesday. I'll still have a regular show this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, which will be, let's see, the 26th that'll be 27th, the 27th. I will be on with Myron Gaines live in Miami. I will also be there with Hotep Jesus live in studio. So I'm flying out there. I'm starting kind of a mini book tour for religion. and I'm going to start in Miami first. So I'm going to be doing that. I have spoken with Pat Campbell. I'm going to be sending him a signed autograph book of the Rational Male religion as well. I mention him quite a bit in the book. And he's also in the acknowledgments, as you might guess. So maybe at some point I'm going to try, if Pat, if you're watching, I would very much love to have you on the show again and just sort of do some catch up with you and see what you thought. I want you to read the book, and then we can discuss the book. So that seems like a good idea. All right, so there you have it. That is that's the events that are coming up. So anyways, Wednesday the 27th, I will not be doing this show, but I will be on Fresh and Fit, which is Myron Gaines' show. So I'm just going to, if I run a feed, I might do a simulcast on this channel as well, but you can go catch it either way. And ask me questions or whatever. I know that he has a live call-in kind of thing too. So that'll be a live call-in show. Me and Hotep Jesus. And then also, I believe the Tuesday before that, I'm going to be doing just a one-on-one about the book with Myron. So the 26th and the 27th, I will be on Fresh and Fit live in Miami in the studio. So there you have it. So today, we are going to be, what are you talking about? Might be in my, possibly. I was going to say, Aiden, I know you're a big fan. I will be doing book signing there. I'm going to see if I can drag a few books out there, or maybe I'll just have them shipped out to Myron and then they'll be there. If I can work it out and you happen to be in Miami in that time frame, somewhere around there, and I don't know what's going to happen between now and then, but I will be there. I'm already booked. I'm going to be there. So if you want to have your book signed, or if you want to just shake my hand or something like that, that's fine too. No, Jesus, I just said this, dude. It will be available in March. Thank you. Okay. So here's the deal. I was checking out a Twitter feed from Ryan Stone. He had, I think he retweeted this, and, it got me thinking about friendship in general, and friendship is kind of like one of these, I guess, remedial topics that I get into every now and then. It is something that has been a part of the manosphere, part of the red pill, part of game for a long time. When we talk about friends or friendship, it's been around for forever, right? If you've ever seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, and you see that one, there's a very famous scene in it, and it's God, I forget the name of the actor who was in that. Is it? I always want to say Joe Piscopo, but it's not. It's the other guy, the other comedian, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But anyways, Harry and Sally are having this discussion, and they're talking about, can men and women be friends? Because that's what they were, right? He wanted to get with her. She didn't want to get with him, or maybe they got together. It's kind of like one of those stupid like rom-coms from like the 90s, right? It's kind of like Sleepless in Seattle or something like that. So, anyways, what are you talking about? I did not scratch the dog from a fight. No, actually, this is, thank you very much for pointing that out. No, this is me trying to master the straight razor. That's why I got in a knife fight with myself. So there you have it. Billy Crystal, that's right. The other comedian, the other guy that looks like Joe Piscopo. So 90s comedians, yeah. And I forget the name of the chick who was in that as well. But anyways, they have this very famous scene, and it was used. I remember seeing articles written about this in magazines and stuff back in the 90s about like, oh, is what they say true? Is it possible that men and women can or can't be friends? And then you get, it would be a topic on like Oprah or Phil Donahue or, whatever, Sally Just Raphael, whatever those old 90s, talk shows. What is it? The Tyra Banks show, those kinds of stuff, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that was always a question. And I thought it was funny because Billy Crystal's character, and I forget who wrote that, but anyways, the conversation was actually pretty interesting. I think the reason why everybody remembers like When Harry Met Sally is for that, and then also like the faked orgasm scene in that. Again, it's a silly, stupid romantic comedy. Don't go watch it. It's stupid. If you want to go watch the YouTube clip of that, then be my guest, but that's what I'm referencing right now. And so whenever I talk about friends or I have to talk about like intersexual friendship with intrasexual friendship. So when I refer to intersexual friendship, I mean men and women. Okay, opposites. Intra-sexual relationships is same-sex relationships, right? Like same-sex friendships, like you and your bros and girls with their girlfriends, that kind of stuff. So if I make references, that's what I mean. But I'll try to make this as basic as I can. The idea that men and women can be friends has been like tossed around for a really long time. The actual tweet that I was referring to that Ryan made me aware of, thanks Alexander for that $2, my friend. There was a guy, and I can't remember the guy's name, so I apologize. But in the tweet, the guy was saying, if you are a red pill wear guy, if you're a red pill guy, and for whatever that means to you, right? Like whatever your level of awareness is, it was a reference to and this has to do with intrasexual friendships, right? So it was a reference to the idea that if you're freshly red pill or whatever, and you have nothing but blue pill friends, should you dump those friends? I'm kind of going in reverse order here on my notes, but I think that I probably should have mentioned this first in my notes. Because the conversation was really, I think, an exploration of how men do friendship versus how women do friendship. And you have to know how men do friends and women do friends before you can really understand why it is that men and women cannot be friends to the same degree or to the same, within the same context, let's say, of your same-sex friendships. And that's the model that we tend to use when we approach an intersexual, intersexual friendship. And I think it's kind of ironic because up until like when Harry met Sally, I don't think that the question of like men being friends with women or women being friends with men, that kind of stuff, like platonic friendships, was really much of an issue until we got into the last part of the 80s and maybe in through like I would say probably all through the 90s and up to where we are right now. And again, I'm gonna really bake your brain here. This dovetails really nicely into actually some parts of the fourth book of religion. And what I mean by that is that when we consider intersexual friendships, we tend to approach those from how we understand our intrasexual friendships with guys and guys, women and women. And this is one of the reasons why I say that there's no way that you can be friends with a woman, certainly not out the gate, not platonically, because you're always going to be basing that friendship or your approach to that friendship from, and women as well, from a male context versus a female context. So girlfriends do different things and approach friendship differently than guys approach friendship. And I know that sounds like a little weird. And the reason why it sounds weird to you is what I'm about to tell you, which is from the 80s through the 90s into where we're at right now, we've standardized on this idea of blank slate equalism and social constructionism as a result of that as well. A lot of the, again, if you go and you read, like, I think it's the third chapter of religion, you'll understand what I'm talking about. We have standardized this old order way of thinking about the blank slate. And and as a result of that, social constructionism, the idea that men and women are equal, and that we have the same value, and we're basically functional equals. That we have, like, we're all just the same beings. We just have different plumbing or whatever, and then our genders, our sexes, whatever it is like mutable. And it's just, we're all the same. We should all be treated the same. We're all this homogenous, androgynous, or we have an androgynous goal set. And that affects a lot of things when it comes to human cultures. And I'm not just talking about one particular one. I'm just like, how does it put those cultures and the way we think about friendship or the way we think about men and women into the context of your particular, in this case, a tribe, right? Your ethnicity, your race, your religion, your nationality, whatever it is, how we do family, how we do friends, how we do men and women, how we do intersexual relationships. When you throw blank slate equalism into that mix, it fundamentally rearranges those things. So recently, You probably have seen this. Maybe you haven't. I don't know. But in the United States, we have this new, I guess Nancy Pelosi or whoever is trying to pass this new bill or whatever that removes gendered language from our bylaws or whatever, whenever we're referring to anything in a legal sense, right? So we can't talk about mother, father, uncle, aunt, anything that is gender referenced. Now, for the most part, if you've read any of my stuff before, you understand that. I've talked about this in 2 essays called Remove the Man and Remove the Man 2019, which was just sort of a update of that one. And we're removing the letters, consecutive letters MAN from the language, from, well, certainly the English language. We're trying to do that with Spanish right now too. It's no longer Latino or Latina, it's Latinx. And you've probably seen this because I think Latin cultures are starting to make a big deal out of it as well. Where does that come from? Why? Why does that seem like a good idea? Why is it like, oh, well, we want to be gender inclusive? No, you're aiming for homogeny. Hopefully I said that. Homogeneity. You're looking for blank slate equalism. You're looking for across the board androgyny is the goal. And changing the language changes the way that we think about it. So what we're doing is we are standardizing on the idea that men and women are just functional equals. We're just trapped in these whatever our biologies say that we are, and that's it. So thank you for the thank you for the advice. A little too late, my friend. I do have a strap though. Thank you. What did you say? I'm going to catch up to these. Women say they don't need men, but want men as male friends. Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that too. Albert, that's in my notes today for sure. Yes, there's definitely a necessity, and there's also a practicality to the idea. There's a utility, let's say, for a gynocentric social order to standardize and maintain at all costs the idea that blank slate equalism and social constructionism are the law of the land. It's religion. It's the belief set for what they would like it to be anyways, the belief set for the last 4 generations, certainly for the last 2, possibly the last 3. So when we standardize on that, when we start talking about, let's change the language, whether it's English or whatever it is, there are certain Latin languages are gendered languages. So when you talk about in Spanish, for instance, it's like el toro, that's masculine. It's the bull. The bull is masculine, but la casa is the house. That's where that's in the feminine. How they're going to change that up, I don't know, but there are, any of the Latin languages, like the Romance languages, I believe, are all gendered. So where do you go with that? And then on top of this, the height of the irony of that whole thing, and I'll just leave you with this, is that Nancy Pelosi and even Kamala, I got to say it right, your soon to be new president, they are all in their Twitter bios. It's mother, grandmother, aunt, auntie, whatever, and using the exact same gendered languages that they don't want to see in the U.S. bylaws or whatever it is. So when we do that, the basis of that is that we have blank slate equalism, that we're all just the same. And as a result of that, it is that kind of gender neutral, influence is moving its way into a rapidly exported westernizing culture. And so we're seeing it spread more and more and more. Maybe it's not, I don't know if it's in Germany or whatever, but I'm seeing this more and more to the point where we want to make gender neutral versions of the Bible, gender neutral versions of the Quran, gender neutral versions of, we're no longer going to refer to God as he anymore. We're going to refer to it as, sooner or later it'll be she, but there's I think there's at least 2 different efforts right now to write gender neutral versions of the Bible, which is interesting. Anyways, for more details, read my 4th book because I talk about that quite a bit. So anyways, getting back to the friendship thing, this is friendship and how men and women interrelate is also influenced by the blank slate right now. So when we talk about can men and women be platonic friends, this is a conversation that probably your grandparents or your great grandparents probably didn't have because there was no, this is ludicrous. That wouldn't even enter the conversation. It wouldn't even enter the thoughts. It wouldn't be conceived to have to even think about it. Only in the late 80s and through the well, maybe even the 70s, but let's say 80s through the 90s was when this became a big deal. Can men and women be friends? Okay. If you believe that, why do you believe that? Most of the time and most people don't realize that this is where the origins of this are, but where it begins is in this presumption that men and women are just equal, that we can be, we're just co-equal, co-rational beings that can maintain these appearances that, well, we're just going to be friends. In fact, one of the earliest things that had to be sort of debunked or had to be addressed, I think, by the early PUAs was the let's just be friends rejection. And if you've read any of my work, if you've read any of my books, actually, I think I've put this in at least 2 different books. I've talked about the LJBF, and I don't hear it that much, as much anymore. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure the let's just be friends kind of thing happens. I hear about the friend zone quite a bit. Women hate that, by the way. They hate to be put on the spot when it comes to the friend zone. We'll talk about the friend zone today too. But I needed to start this out by identifying the origin of why is this so contentious. So when I say, I can go on I think I did this on the Charlie and Ben podcast. I can go on the Charlie and Ben podcast and say, you know what, men and women can't be friends. Not in the same context that men and women can be friends, because we approach things differently. Now, in the Harry Met Sally thing, the idea was that, the guys are always going to be wanting to bang the girl. They're always going to have some sort of sexual interest in them. And even the ones that they're sort of platonically interested in, they don't really start those relationships, or they don't really start those friendships unless they have some borderline interest in maybe in the future, maybe sometime on down the road, that they want to get after it with that girl. They want to see where it's going to go. They want to believe that they have a chance. And that used to be, and maybe it still is today. You guys can correct me if you want, but maybe it still is today. The idea is that you play the long game. You play the perseverance game. And I get this a lot from tradcons primarily, or guys who want to do the right thing. I courted my wife the right way. Well, that's old order thinking. Courting is the root of the word courting comes from courtly love. Again, something else I cover in the rational male religion. Courtly love and the romantic ideal are very ennobling, let's just say, to a certain mindset, to guys who are sort of thinking they're going to do things the right way, and sooner or later, by sticking to their convictions and sticking to their belief set and sticking to their guns, that eventually it's going to hit pay dirt. They're eventually the right woman, the quality woman, is going to recognize them as the perfect boyfriend, or he's the perfect dad. He was right here in front of me this whole time. And a lot of guys will buy into that because they see it happen. They've seen it where they would very much like to have sort of this old school relationship with a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. Hopefully it goes on to becoming a wife for these guys, because that's their conviction. Okay. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not advocating for marriage. I'm just saying that's the mindset. So when these guys go through the waiting, and like I've said, the beta and waiting kind of thing, once they get to the point where a woman actually has some kind of use for them, they see that as sort of proof of concept. They see that as oh, see, I was her friend first, and I was useful to her first, and all the beta buck side of hypergamy, he got that down. That guy has that down. I've got the job. I went to 4 years of college. I went to 8 years of med school, whatever it is. I went and did all these things. I started my own business. I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm an upstanding member of the community. I'm a leader of business or whatever it is. I'm on the city council. I don't know. And finally I met the quality woman who really, is on board with my belief set, and blah, 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 blah. Well, what that is just a confirmation of the guy's beliefs, because he's held out and was hoping for something like that. Whether or not that woman is actually subscribing to those beliefs, or she is playing along with it because her necessity dictates that she does those things, or maybe she genuinely feels that way after she's sort of been the prodigal daughter returneth, right? She goes through her party years and realizes, well, I can't lock down those guys, but here's this wonderful guy who's the leader of industry and he's on the city council and, he's a reverend at the church, whatever it is, I'm going to get with this guy. That's the confirmation between those two. So you have this old order way of thinking for the guy who's sticking to it really because he doesn't have much choice. But the woman now decides in her epiphany phase that, I've got some use for this guy. And that affirms that guy's beliefs. And so you'll never meet a more self-righteous blue pill guy than the dude that thinks he did the right thing by being friends, by starting out like, or we just, we went out for coffee and, how to talk about things and it makes it very kind of like very romanticized, very like I courted my wife. I brought her flowers and chocolates and, it's like happy days, it's like 1950s sock hop mentality, if not the practice, certainly the mentality. But underneath all of that is this idea that I tell guys this all the time. It's like most guys left to their own devices or left to their social, let's say, education about men and women will default to be her friend first, establish rapport, make her comfortable. That's the first. Women will tell you. Women tell when they make rules for betas. Women will tell guys that they need to be comfortable first. I can't have sex with you on the first date. I can't. I won't. Not even the third date. I don't feel comfortable. Let's go spoon on the couch for a little while, and we'll see where things go. And as I've said before, this is one of the things that prompted the third iron rule of TOMASSI, which was anytime a woman makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. Not because I'm saying go get with the loosest, go get a prostitute, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that that is an education. That rule is about desire, genuine desire, not about nail anything on two legs. It is about genuine desire. And the reason I say that is because when a woman is making rules for you, when a woman says, I need to feel comfortable first, I need you to be my friend first, I need to know that you're going to be, makes you jump through these hoops. What she's saying is you're a beta and she's trying to figure out whether or not she really wants to get with you, or if something else is going to pan out with the alpha the hot guy in the foam cannon party, right? That she can't seem to lock down. And when she gets to a point where she says, okay, that ain't going to happen, but I got Joe over here who's almost 30 years old. He's still stupid at the game, and he looks like he'd be a good candidate for protection, parental investment, and for provisioning. And I need a man with some benefits. And now I'm gonna make some kind of compromise by getting with Joe, who's always been there. Who's always been, on the phone. He's been my emotional tampon. He's always been my stuffed animal at the end of the bed, ready to, he's always been telling me I should give up on these alpha guys and why do you get with these jerks who don't don't respect you? Like that's the whole thing, like respect. And so the starting point from that is the idea of comfort, familiarity, rapport, and friendship, right? I'm here for you anytime, babe. It's almost like proving your quality with your friendship. And guys get into a real tough spot. You want to know why the friend zone, I don't believe that the friend zone exists. I'll explain why here in just a second. But why do guys believe that the friend zone exists is because they're still sticking to that old order way of thinking. The old order way of thinking is you got to be a friend. You got to establish this trust and this comfort and all this other stuff before she wants to spread her legs for you, which in 2021, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying that right. In 2021, over the last, let's say 11 years ish, courtesy of social media and the internet and the communication age, we have pretty much settled that it is, women make rules for betas and they break rules for alphas. And then when there are consequences for breaking rules with alphas, the betas are expected to pick up the tab, whether that's emotional, financial, family-wise, single mommy-wise, whatever-wise. And we see this black and white all the time. You want to talk about black pill and doomers and everything else. That's what they self-flagellate over. That's what they beat themselves up over. But they're not wrong. They're not wrong in the assessment anyways. And the analysis is 100% correct. So with that in mind, we have to analyze why it is that there is such a thing as a friend zone. And why would women be upset when guys refer to the friend zone that women actually talk about too? And I don't know if it was guys or if it was women who made up the term, but when guys refer to it, women get upset and they think you're an incel and you're just bitter and you're one of those red pill guys because you said friend zone. But yet they're referencing the friend zone with their own girlfriends all the time. You'll see it on forums, you'll see it on Twitter, you'll see it on Tinder. Excuse me, you'll see it on all kinds of social media. But when a guy refers to it, then he's an incel and a loser and it's just bitter and crying in his beer. So when it comes to the friend zone, why do I not believe in that there's such a thing as a friend zone? Well, the friend zone is that guys put themselves in the friend zone because they don't realize that when a woman says, I just want to be your friend, or she intimates that she would never be intimate with him when she gives off cues or whatever, and he accepts that. A lot of times when a woman gives you a let's just be friends rejection, she never gives you the rejection, or at least for most betas and most guys who are just sort of like, struggling to figure all this stuff out. Those guys tend to put themselves into the friend zone, and they're okay with it because they think that is the path to getting out of the friend zone, to making what's called a ladder jump. And I'll tell you what the ladder jump is here in just a second. But it's the key to earning her trust, to proving his quality to milady, to play the long game, to persevere, to pretend that he's going to be, her friend. And you're stuck on the side of the road. Don't worry, honey. I'll come out there and fix the flat for you. Oh, you're drunk at your friend's house. Don't worry. You need a ride home. I'll be right there. The phone friend, the guy that she calls when she's in the luteal phase of her ovulatory cycle, right? The guy that she's looking for when she wants to have that comfort because she is in that, like I said, in the ovulatory shift show, she's in that phase where she's looking for comfort from various sources. Usually it's beta orbiters. In fact, that's even where the beta orbiter thing comes from, right? Is the friend zone. You're stuck. I'm stuck in the friend zone. And I've seen comedy bits, and I think it might have been either Dave Chappelle or maybe it was Chris Rock, where he said, I'm stuck in the friend zone. He was saying, yeah, you know what you are, is you're just like a dick in a glass case, like break in case of emergency. No, you're really not. You're not a dick in a glass case. You're not the plan B, although that is something to consider. You're just a friend. You're just like the plan B, the guy who is the dick in the glass case isn't you if you've already put yourself into the friend zone. If you've already put yourself into that platonic, nice guy, I will play your game. I will placate to your mating strategy. And it has never been easier in any era and any time in human history than to put a guy into the friend zone digitally, virtually, online, on social media than it has been today. So you have to keep in mind why it is that guys even think that. Why is that their game? Remember I told you guys before, everyone has game. Every guy every woman has game. They have some idea in their head how best to go from point A to point B, how to go from single and sexless to being, to getting laid and getting in a relationship, and then maybe getting in a family, and then maybe starting or getting in a sexual relationship, and then starting a family, getting married, whatever. Everybody has an idea. Like I said, the youngest kids, 10, 12 years old, you go and ask those boys, they'll tell you in no uncertain terms how to get a girlfriend or hold her hand, take, whatever it is. Maybe they're even jaded at that point. Who knows? But they have an idea. How effective that game is the real question. And that's what I'm getting at here when it comes to friendship, because a lot of guys, their game is, I'm just going to be her friend. I'm just going to prove to her that I have the 3 Ps. Like, I'm the best choice for her from the beta buck side of hypergamy, because they don't believe that their girl, their quality woman, is breaking rules, her own rules, to bang the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break. They don't want to believe that. In fact, if she's doing that, it's not her fault that she's doing that. It's usually the alpha guy who's the player who's trying to make her feel bad, or who won't commit to her, and she really wanted to get with him, and now he's finally there to save her. It's almost like the friendship narrative for guys when it comes to game. The friendship narrative is almost like a preemptive savior schema. Like, okay, if I wait long enough, and if I'm friendly enough, and I'm dutiful enough and loyal and interested and a good friend to her for long enough, at some point, she's going to get fed up with the jerks and see me for being the perfect guy that I am. And you know what? He's right. 100% right. Because that's exactly the plan. That's exactly what happens. Usually, when she finally sees you, oh, you've been here all along. You know when she says that? When she's 29, when she's 30, when she's 31. If then. And I know some guys will even argue with me and say, well, if you're beta, if you're a chump or whatever, you're still not attracted to her. She's going to have a real tough time if you've been that way for a long time. So unless you're maximizing your potential and really, into your own thing, whatever, it's not going to make much difference, even if she is in her epiphany phase. But let's just say, for sake of argument, the classic example is that woman at 28, 29, 30 years old is going to finally say, oh, you've been here all along. I can't believe it. I've been so foolish. I'm finally done with my journey of self-discovery. Let's make a documentary movie about it. Let's, whatever it is. Let's write Eat, Pray, Love. Let's, whatever, my ship has finally come in. And those guys, that's what they think. Their ship has finally come in because they think that they're playing the long game. They think that they're playing a game that everyone else is playing. And for the most part, they are. But I think that the jig is up right now. So let me catch up here real quick. What did you say, Joseph? You said, how long should I know a woman before asking her out? And how can I bridge my way into dating a woman without becoming friends first? Is flirting important? If so, how can I flirt properly? These are like game questions primarily. This is like PUA/game stuff. I can give you advice on that. I'm not going to I can tell you why certain techniques work. Yeah, you do need to learn how to flirt, but the problem is like when guys flirt and there's not that baseline interest that's there already, if there's not like sort of even like old school PUAs used to call it interest levels. Like if it's not 80% interest, then you don't want to flirt. Well, how do you gauge that? Especially now in the digital age when everybody is like texting and you're communicating with each other over digital media. So what I would say, Joseph, is you need to first off, I think you probably would do well to read something like The Game just to learn the old school stuff. I'm not saying that it's all of it's 100% relevant today. It's not. But there's some basics that you can do. You can learn to sexualize conversations in sort of like roundabout, sort of innuendo-ish kind of ways. But again, it is more important that there is a baseline of arousal or baseline of attraction before you do that. And you have to, I think before guys learn how to flirt, before guys learn how to sort of push past this friend thing, the idea is this. You asked me this is actually a perfect question. And how can I bridge my way from dating a woman without becoming friends first? The first thing you have to do is understand that you're not friends and that you're not in it for a friendship. And you have to change your mind about the nature of men and women when it comes to friendship. Most guys, the reason why they get into that friend zone or they get into that kind of like friendy kind of thing is because they start there up here. They start out with like, okay, they don't start out from a point where I'm in this club or I'm at this venue or I'm at this where I'm in this social situation. And this, I'm thinking in live terms, right? I'm where I'm at right now because I understand that the women here aren't looking for a new best friend. They're looking to get laid. They're looking for a guy. They're looking to have fun with their friends and they're looking to dance with a hot guy. They're looking to get with a hot guy. They're looking to find this guy, right? You have to be able to read it. And this is where guys drop the ball and they drop the narrative because most guys don't know how to read a woman. They don't know how to read an actual live in-person conversation. And the reason they don't is because they're still stuck in this mindset that says, well, she's just like me. All I have to do is be open and have an open conversation with her. I've just got to make her comfortable. I've just got to make her feel familiar with me. And I'll tell you this right now, and this is old school PUA stuff, is that familiar? You've heard this. I put in my notes here. You've heard the term before. Familiarity breeds contempt. And there's a reason for that, because you understand that person to such a degree that there's no mystery with them anymore. There's no challenge. There's nothing left to discover about them. There's no prompting of imagination. And it's been my experience, and I think that this is something that I've read about in the past, and PUA's past and present right now, is that engaging a woman's imagination is the primary goal, really, of flirtation. Is he really into me? Is he not really into me? Did he really say that? Did he not really say that? Does he have a girlfriend? Does he not have a girlfriend? It's that back and forth. Remember what I said about the hypergamous filter. The hypergamous filter is always, for women, is always looking for confirmation. It's always looking to know that you're what you say you are. Again, the existential fear of women is for women is that a woman would get with a guy who's displaying all of these cues that she's getting aroused by and she's getting crazy for, and he looks like he's the one, right? He looks like he's an alpha, but then there's still that back and forth, like there's a little bit of doubt, right? It's the hypergamous doubt. Is he or is he not? He really is hot, but he's kind of it's that challenge, it's that being on the fence that prompts imagination, and triggering that is really the key when it comes to flirtation. Most guys don't know how to flirt. They don't want to flirt. They think, most guys think that it's dangerous, right? If you flirt, you'll be considered a creep and they'll call HR. And they're probably right if you're doing it in a context of, I'm going to flirt at work, right? Or I'm going to flirt with this girl at school or wherever. Most guys flirt really lamely because they don't understand women's nature. They don't understand they don't understand the art of pickup artistry, like PUA, pick up artist. They don't understand the art part of it. The art side of it is being able to read a situation, and that's where guys drop it, because most guys, I don't think that most guys are autistic, but I think that most guys have sort of this social retardation, and I mean that in the clinical sense. Like they have not really picked up the skill set, the social skill set, to read a woman and then confidently be able to flirt with that woman. Most guys who are good at flirting already have something that engages them. They're already good looking, or they've got something about their character. They're outgoing, they're engaging. Maybe they're salesmen. Maybe their line of work puts them in the public all the time. They're dealing with people all the time. Maybe they're in a leadership role. Whatever it is, anything that is sort of gives you experience with other people, those guys tend to be better flirters than the guys who are just like, sitting at home doing nothing or reading about stuff, thinking, okay, I'm going to try this, without having somebody actually sort of coach them along or show them how to do things. That's why PUA was such a big deal, because it was guys who would take other guys out into the field and show them what they were doing. Now, people say, oh, they're all scam artists. Well, yeah, there was a few of them that were, but the principles were correct. What they were doing was good practice. Whether or not it was for a lot of money or whether or not it was going to work for every guy was kind of irrelevant. At least back then it was. But now, when you look at the methods, the methodologies of those guys, it's pretty sound practice. It's just lamely put into practice. So there you go. That's the best I can give you right now. I don't have a book. I guess I should write a book. I've got so many guys. I'm like, what am I going to do next? Right? I'm trying to think. I have ideas for something. Usually when I'm finishing a book, I have like the germ of an idea for the next one. But I do realize that there's a lot of guys who constantly ask me this. They'll say, how do I learn game? Well, you don't learn it from a book. You learn it by doing. And that's the problem. Most guys are, I can't go out there. I want to read. Okay, well, if I wrote you a book, you'd still have to go out there and do it. So there you have it. I do want to get into some other aspects of friendship here in just a second, but let me go back up here. Dang it. Sorry. I lost a few of you guys. Give me 1 second. Stefan W. Thank you for that $99, my friend. I appreciate you. I need a sound drop for that. I appreciate you. Let's see what else. I'm going to catch up on these real quick because I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to catch up at the last at hour 3. If I go to hour 3, Let's see, Joseph, I got to you. Are women that like to have guy friends around because are women that like to have guy friends? This is Super Duty OHV. Are clever. Are women that like to have guy friends around because they claim they are easier to get along with? A big red flag. Yes. Usually the women who are like that try to be the tomboy. They're like, well, I have a lot of brothers, so I could never really get along with girls. Or I never understood usually when you hear women say that, it's a few things. And again, my experience, not saying this is the worldwide experience, but this is what I think anyways, is when women say, oh, I get along better with girls. It's the same way as guys saying, oh, I get along better with women, because they don't really understand how to interact or how to socialize with men, because they never had that experience. They never learned that how to socially, how to be a guy, right? How to talk to guys, how to hang out with guys, when a guy's ribbing you, it's not necessarily bullying or hazing or whatever the hell you want to call it. What do you pussies want to call it today? Whatever that is, when you can't interact, it's kind of like, it's almost like the female version of that. So when a woman says, well, I only have guy friends because I can't, usually it's because they don't have any girlfriends, so they can't really understand. They've been raised by a single dad, or maybe they had a lot of brothers. And so they've always had to have masculine-ish interests. And so they get along more, they get along well with guys more. So there's that aspect of it, but there's also the aspect that the woman who says that usually is also, in some cases, an outcast, and she's ostracized from kind of like a female collective. And I don't mean the sisterhood in general. What I mean is that she never got along with the cool girls, the mean girls, right? That movie Mean Girls, right? Women tend to form collectives. Something else I wrote in religion. When women deal with other women, it is from a communitarian, like I would say that there's an innate need or an innate desire amongst the female psyche for communitarianism amongst other women. That's why I've always referred to it as the sisterhood uber alles. But that is the sisterhood uber alles. You can go from like the very personal situations and circumstances all the way up to social and political, socio-political. And we're already seeing that right now. The gynocentric social order exists because of the sisterhood uber alles. And the reason why I call it that is because women innately have a need for collectivism, for communitarianism. It takes a village to raise a child. You probably heard that. Whenever women come into political power, the first thing they do is they opt for socialism. They opt for, well, it usually starts as communitarianism, and then that leans over, oh, socialism seems like a really good idea. You get one, and you get one, and you get one. Because the way that we are evolved as human beings, tribalistically, we had women who are the berry pickers, right? They're the ones who are nurturing incubating and nurturing the next generation of human beings, and men are out there hunting, and they're more meritocracy, right? They're more meritorious, I guess would be the name. They base the hierarchy on merit. Who's more alpha than who performs better, who's more competent than who, and they should be rewarded according to competence or dominance or performance. Again, burden of performance. But for women, it tends to be collectivism. It tends to be communitarianism. So when a woman says, I don't get along very well with women, I have more guy friends than I have girlfriends. When a little girl gets ostracized from the group when they're kids, that's like a fate worse than death. I did when I was studying psychology at university, had to do some child psychology classes, and one of the things I noticed at the time, and I was using my daughter as a subject here, was that little girls, like 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, they formed little what are called peer clutches, right? So it's the little group of girls. And there's another little group of girls over there on that side of the playground. And there's another little group of girls over here. Sometimes it's by age, sometimes it's by grade, whatever it is. But there's always this one it's what's called a peer clutch. Older women still create those peer clutches. Whether they're quilting at 70, 80 years old, or they're going out clubbing In Las Vegas, they're forming a peer clutch. There's safety in numbers. It's always communitarianism. And it's not that guys don't go out and form team sports and stuff. We do, okay? I'm talking about women right now. They form communities, communitarianism. So that's why I always say it's the sisterhood of Borealis. It doesn't matter what the ethnicity is. It doesn't matter what the political stripe is. It doesn't matter what the religion is. It doesn't matter. And all that stuff flies out the window because for women, it's all about team woman. It's all about the social collective. And so when women say, I don't feel like I'm part of that, for a little girl to be kicked out of that peer clutch, that's a fate worse than death. To have the little girls in her friend circle say, I don't want to be a friend anymore. That is like, pow. That's women fight in the psychological. Men fight in the physical. And little girls, they fight and they are vicious. Women will hold a grudge way longer than a guy does. I'm not saying that guys don't. But like when it comes to blows, guys fight in the physical. We beat the hell out of each other. We dust ourselves off. We get over it. We go have a beer, whatever. I'm not saying that always happens. Sometimes we kill each other, right? But it's bam. It's like we resolve it far more instantaneously, more immediately than women do. When women have an issue or when they are doing what's called intrasexual combat with other women, it can last decades, and it can be within the same family. And so you have to remember those things. So when people say, well, a girl says, I don't get along with girls very much. What she's saying is that she's been ostracized from that one group. So when you see this is fine. I wrote about this as well. When you see the girl who's like sort of the gothy girl, or the girl who's kind of like the outcast, or the too smart for her own good girl, usually that girl was ostracized from that collective. And she found a new collective, but she became like rocker chick, or she became gothy girl, or there was some sort of, at some point along the way, she wasn't cool enough to hang out with the mean girls. And so she went to go hang out with the goth girls. And I'm just using this as an illustration. I'm not saying this is literally happening, but I'm saying that she's pushed out of that. So maybe that girl never really could relate with other girls because she's always been dealing with her brothers. Or she wasn't part of the cool girls club. And so now she's happier to be with a group of guys. So is it a red flag? It can be, because usually what those girls do is they see that as their game. It's like gamer girls. I did a whole episode. If you want to see it, it's in the list of my videos here. I wrote an essay called Gamer Girls, and really it's a subculture. It's the same mechanics within like gamer culture, and whether that's your role-playing games, or that's like video games or console games or Twitch or whatever it is, you will see that women who can't compete in one sexual marketplace or in one context, they will tend to move over into a different social context and adopt that and sort of like align themselves, and it suddenly resonates with them because the other thing that they would like to be a part of didn't. And so now their interests sort of change because it's easier to get into that. It's easier to become gamer girl. There's a meme going around where this girl's like, I'm a gamer girl. And it's like this girl with big tits, and she's got like her glasses on and everything. And then the meme is like, shut up. You're just a thought who found glasses, right? You're just, and for a good portion of that sort of subculture, that might be true. But the game still applies to them as it does anybody else. So if they find more fertile grounds and I don't mean that literally, I'm figuratively, they find more fertile grounds being gamer girls or goth girls or this girl or sporty girl or whatever girl. When they can find a place where they sort of belong, that's when they employ that game. And usually when women get into that, they're getting into a male space. Like gaming used to be a male space. And I would say ostensibly it kind of still is right now. But like if you're into comic books, if you're into role-playing games, man, you were a nerd. Man, you were never going to get laid. You're going to be a virgin for life if you played D&D back in the 80s, right? Back when I was playing. Yeah, you're going to be a virgin. Huh? And it was like, remember that? Was it Revenge of the Nerds? That movie back in the 80s? Yeah, there's a reason that was funny, because that's what was going on back then. Now everybody loves The Mandalorian, right? Everybody loves Marvel. Girls want to be dungeon masters all of a sudden. Hell, I played D&D with my daughter, man. But things have changed quite a bit. But back then, if you wanted to be cool, you sure as hell didn't play those games. Now, we have the female influence, gynocentric influence, social justice influence that's coming into those previously male spaces. And you know what? Every gamer guy that's in those spaces is going, yeah, come on, because they want to feel cool. They want to suddenly have some sort of recognition for being the dork or the nerd or the geek or whatever it is that they were. And now we've got these, and they're, participating in their own extinction, and they don't really realize that. But they want to be friends, right? Oh, we're going to have these. What's funny is I can remember when this first started back in like the late 2000s, maybe into the early 2010s, 20-teens. There was this idea that if a girl walked into a game store or a comic store or like whatever your nerd realm is, that they weren't welcome. Like they were walking into like some hostile, city bar where it's like, what's a woman doing here? Bullshit. That never happens. Never in my life have I seen that. I've been to some pretty interesting game stores, game whatever. You can go into those games and guys will fall over themselves to say, yeah, why don't you come to my D&D game? Why don't you come to this game? Why don't you do the? You will never find more simps and more blue pill guys than in gamer community. But so when a woman says, well, I get along with these guys more than I do women. Of course you do, because there's so many guys that are falling all over themselves, giving you positive reinforcement all the time. So yeah, I'm sure that's true. So when a woman says, I just don't align very much with girls, I have more guy friends, it's usually because they have a lot of beta orbiters, or that was their most pragmatic, practical way of solving really their reproductive problem, but also their attention problem. So remember, attention is the coin of the realm in girl world. So if a guy says, I want to be your friend, that's a form of attention. It's not maybe the value of it might fluctuate depending on the guy, but guys will readily talk about how they want to be your friend and if they think they got a chance. Let's see. Let me catch up a little bit more here. That was a good question. Thank you. Did you know, Med says option 1 is the best choice. You or bust. Number book 4. Thanks. You are welcome. Joseph, how long? Okay, I already talked about Joseph. Blue collar mindset. Sorry, I couldn't put you up on the screen, my friend. He says, God damn it. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, this just ended. Just ended this LTR I was in. She had an old friend from college who said she wouldn't speak to after we committed to each other. Caught her banging him, I guess, behind my back. Medium is the message. Yes. That's another thing. I've got an essay, and it's not in any book. It's called Old Flame, New Game. And we've never made it easier to sort of rekindle old romances or to see how that guy's doing. So I think when guys get, and I know Donovan Sharp has said this before, but when guys say, well, give me your phone. You want to be in a relationship with me? Give me your phone. I want to see what your friends look like. I want to see what you can't talk to those people anymore. And women get very upset as a result of that. This is actually something I have in my notes here, so I'm going to follow up on this real quick. So when a guy has this sort of suspicion that he's like the girl, the meme, here's the meme. The meme is the guy she tells you not to, and the guy she tells you not to worry about. The guy she tells you not to worry about is usually an ex, or he is the guy who is the quote unquote friend. That guy might be plan B. If you've read, what did I put it in? I think I put it in book 2. I think it's in Preventive Medicine. There's a whole chapter in there dedicated to plan B. And women have plan Bs. What is it, 50%? At least at the time of that writing, that was like 2014, 2015 when I was referencing that. Women have plan Bs. And they did a statistical analysis of this. Now, again, I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know what the measurement methods were, but here, I'll give it to you anyways. 50% of women, probably more than that now, but back then, 50% of women had a plan B. So if something didn't work out with the guy that they were with, there's always a guy who's sort of waiting in the wings. And there was a certain percentage of the guys who were waiting in the wings who the guy that she was with already knew about and was not cool with it. Maybe not cool with it, but he knew that she was that he was, sort of this dude waiting his turn, right? She's not yours, it's your turn. So if it didn't work out with that one guy, then she has the dick in the glass case, right? Break in case of emergency. And remember, the dick in the glass case, or the break in case of emergency, or the plan B, or the last resort kind of thing, that changes with age, that changes with circumstance too. So if you're plan A and you're making a lot of money and you are, in shape, and you turn to this fat alcoholic, broke, drunk guy, then, and she's still good looking enough to sort of go out there and pick up another guy, then maybe that changes things for you. Or maybe it sort of increases the time scale for plan B, right? It's the basic fear, the black pill fear of hypergamy. Well, if I don't perform well enough, then she's going to leave me. Well, your circumstances changed. Her circumstances will change too. So maybe when that girl gets to be 34 years old and she's not as hot as she was when she was 24 years old, plan B might not be around anymore because he's gone off to find whatever he's looking for. So there you have it. But yeah, when it comes to when women say, I have this friend, I have this great friend. Understand what I'm getting into here today. I'm gonna work you a little bit today. Cal L says, bad idea to talk about red pill theory with women. Yes, women that you want to get with, absolutely. If you are trying to sarge a girl, if you're interested in a girl, if you want to become intimate with that girl, do not reveal that you are red pill. That's just it's just rule of thumb. It's good policy. Why would you give up the game? They're not. Do you think that women would give you good advice about how to date? Why would you talk to them about that? Most guys, when they talk about red pill theory, or they talk about I read this great book, check this out. They're doing so because they want revenge. They want some sort of vindication, let's say, with the girl. Like, well, now I'm red pill, so haha, bitch. I got, what is it?
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. So when you do that, you are engaging in what's called the observer effect. Observing a process changes the process. It's usually a waste of time for two reasons. The first reason is, if you're interested in a girl and you really want to get after it with her and you're trying to get something going with her, revealing that you're red pill is you're just talking about the game. And women want to play the game. They don't want to talk about the game. They want you to just get it. And if you just get it because you understand the red pill, don't say, I get it because I understand the red pill, because that just makes you stupid and analytical and probably a little bit creepy too. Keep it under your hat. And the other thing is this. So that's situation number one. Situation number two is this. If the girl's not somebody, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's some girl that you don't really care about, and you want to talk about red pill stuff with that girl, why are you wasting your time? Why? Because she's just going to get pissed off at it, first of all. Second of all, she's probably going to try to make you feel bad, or probably say, that doesn't work with girls, that kind of stuff. Why even waste your time? You have a finite, I hope you live a long life, but you have a finite amount of time on this planet. And you wasting it by trying to explain red pill theory to women is, especially when you're appealing to a reason. Because when it comes, assuming you're reading my book, assuming you're following the red pill as per a praxology, you don't appeal to women's reason. Women prioritize emotion before reason. I'm just not saying you can't have conversations about it. Go right ahead, but don't expect it. Don't expect it to be what you think it's going to be. Usually a waste of time. Arnold. Hey, Arnold. So in younger social circles, we have a gang of guys and girls hanging out together to, I guess, go to parties and etc. What's etc.? They call each other friends, but eventually some of them will get together. Is that plating? It can be. That RSD, Real Social Dynamics, used to call that. I forget, was it Jeffy? One of those guys. The fat guy used to call it social circle game. And it's basically how to be kind of like a mooch, how to get laid, how to be a mooch and get laid, how to get like guys with a lot of money who pay for bottle service to invite you over to their table because they need guys to seem like they have a lot of friends game. It's kind of like, it's social circle game. And again, it's old order thinking, but it could be. Do you have a lot of friends that have like some good looking, do you have a best friend who has a good looking girlfriend, and that good looking girlfriend has some other good looking single girlfriends, and you think, man, I'm going to hang out with them and I'm going to make friends with his girlfriend so I can get it with these other girls. That's mooch game. That's social circle game, because you're not, maybe you have fun. Maybe you actually share common interests. Maybe you're having great conversation, but the incentive for that friendship was, it's going to give me access to more women. There's nothing wrong with that. You guys can make the judgment call all you want after that. I'm just telling you the mechanic. I just work here. I'm just telling you what the mechanics are of that whole thing. So when you do something like that, when you get into social circle game, and I'm not saying it's not effective, it can be very effective. That's the way we used to do it, right? It used to be, I could show you the stats. If you go and I don't know if I put it in the book. I refer to these stats in the book, is that the primary way that men meet women today is online. And I talked about that with Myron. I could show you the stats. I can show you the graphs for it. But the way that we used to was through social circles. We used to, with social networks, like real social networks, not like online social networks. So your church, your family, your friends, your school, your work, your apartment building, your gym, wherever you are, wherever people congregate, that used to be the way. I met my wife at a gig I was playing. That was it. And I met most of the girls who are part of my 40 plus notch count. They were pretty much at gigs too. There's some girls that I met at school. There's a few from that the social circle game, I guess. Like I can think of at least two off the top of my head that I would consider social circle. Like that's how I accessed them, as like plates, I guess. But for the most part, it was, being in the right place at the right time, positioning myself and learning how to maximize, and read women and understand social cues and that kind of stuff, learn how to flirt, that kind of stuff. We don't do that anymore. You want to know why, was it Joseph has such a problem with, how do I learn how to flirt? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You get from behind the freaking screen and you go out and you learn. Don't even try to flirt. Just like talk, just learn how to read women. I've got a, Joseph, here's another, I'm going to give you a reference here. If you're still watching, go to therationalmale.com, which is my blog. In the search engine, type in this phrase. I think this is the title of it. It's called Learning to Read. And learning to read, and there's a few of them like that, but there's one of my earliest ones was called Learning to Read, and it's how to read women, how to understand, or what's the process so that you can learn to do reads. One of the reasons why, like PUA was such a big deal back in the day is it also relied on what was called cold reading, but it was taking cold reading. And this was cold reading in terms of like cold reads are how like magicians work, as you might guess, mystery, how like tarot card, like psychics work. Like it's cold reading. Like you see that person, you listen to how they talk and what they're about and what they're, it's the people who are effective at that kind of stuff. It's a grift. And I don't believe in the superstition side of it. But the reading part of it, the ones who can make a career out of being a magician, out of being even an actor, an improvisational theater, whatever it is, stand-up comedians, psychics, really, really good salespeople, they are very good at cold reading. And they can tell you about yourself. They're the kind of people you want to listen to tell you about yourself. I think it's called the Forer effect. It's like, I'll tell you about yourself and it'll all be complimentary and it'll all be, you're such a nice guy. You're such a great guy. It's like astrology, right? Astrology never said, and MBTI. Astrology and MBTI don't tell you, well, your personality type is asshole. that doesn't factor in there. It can't, because of the Forer effect. Because you would just be like, this is nonsense. It keeps telling me I'm an asshole. But if part of that person's way of interacting with somebody and doing cold reads is employing what's called the Forer effect, which is sort of like you're reading into something where you're reading in positivity about your personality with that person, and you're learning to do that. But you can also read like what they're about, socioeconomic status. Like, have you ever done this? You go to a fair, like a county fair or wherever. I don't know, maybe you can go, was it a farmer's market or something like that. Sometimes you'll go past these like carnival barkers, maybe it's carnival, right? And the guys will say, I can guess your age and your education level or whatever within, a few years. And you put $10 down. on it, right? And if he can't get it, or if he doesn't get it right, then you get like, I don't know, stuffed animal or whatever the prize is, kind of thing. And those guys who do that, they're very good at cold reading. They can see that. You go, okay, $10. How old am I? You're 52. Shit. Lost $10, right? But if you do, whatever it is, maybe it's $3. But if they don't, then you get it. But the guys who are really good at that, or the reason why they're even there, it's fun, is because you're betting that guy can just look at you and just through appearances, through vocal intonations, through how you're dressed, what you're wearing, how you're carrying yourself, your physical presence, your physiognomy, they can tell certain things about you. Learning that as a skill, most human beings can do that to various degrees. Like, I'm talking about the ones that are really, really good at it. But to varying degrees, we can read people. What guys don't want to do is learn how to read women. They don't want to do that because they don't want to seem judgmental. I was talking about that on Rule Zero yesterday. Where I was talking about sort of like this paradox of being judgmental. And I think more men need to be judgmental about themselves, but also about other people, and certainly women. And it's okay to make judgment calls. It's okay to assess people's character and their integrity. It's okay to do that. If it prevents you from falling into a situation that's going to have life-damaging effects, you're damn right. It's absolutely 100% okay to be judgmental. But guys, especially blue pill beta guys who've been brought up on this steady diet of Disney Pixar and don't judge a book by its cover and follow your heart and all that other bullshit, those guys don't want to be judgmental, and they sure as shit don't want to hear me talk about how they can do cold reads and how to figure out like women's nature or men's nature. They don't want to be presumptuous. And they're taught that because they're taught to emote and think like women. And that's part of that. Because the less you do that as a guy, and I now realize this is off topic, but the less that you do, the less judging you do, women will shame you for even just for the thought or the appearance of being judgmental. But the less judging you do, she's in the better shape for optimizing her own mating strategy. Because she was able to put you on ice. She was able to mitigate your strategy, and sometimes that mating strategy might be your life strategy. So she's able to do that. And how does she do that? Well, we're all equal. We shouldn't judge a book by its cover. We should follow our hearts. It's all about what's on the inside and not what's on the outside. No, the outside usually tell. Like if I want to sell a book, like as you can see, if I want to sell a book, I want the outside of the cover to be something that people go, I want to see this. I want to get into this. Even if it's mysterious, even if it doesn't tell what's in there, I want it to be at least attractive enough so people will open the book and say, what the hell is this about? That's where it comes from. If you're going to present, it's how you present yourself. So anyways, I don't know. As I said, I'm getting a little off topic, but John Doe says, increase my SMV, learned game, got new girls, but cannot sleep with old female friends I liked. Why can't they see the new me when they see me dating other girls? Okay, here's why, John Doe. Another good one. You were probably, and this actually dovetails nicely into today's topic. I have John, go look up on the Rational Male. And this is not in any book, so I know this isn't an essay. Only in an essay. It's called Old Flame, New Game. The reason I wrote this is because as far back as 2012, maybe 2013, I think that's when I wrote this. I kept seeing guys who wanted to learn game or they would read the Rational Male, or they would get into becoming red pill aware. They put it into practice. They did the DJ Bible thing. They learn game, they learn pickup, whatever it is. And then they go, ha, now I got it. Maybe they've had some success. They go, okay, I can regularly get with these girls now. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to get Susie, who blew me out in senior year of high school or the homecoming dance. And I'm going to go and lay some game on her. I'm going to nail her finally. Like, if that's your point, then you're still stuck in the blue pill. You're still stuck. That's really purple pill is what that is. I'm going to take the red pill paradigm. I'm going to take the things I learned from the red pill and all of this really enlightening stuff that I want to be an evangelist about, but I'm going to use it to get Susie, who blew me out, for no other reason than to get revenge. And I say this because I did the same thing myself, not from learning the red pill, but I have experience. I've done the same thing. I can remember when I was like 16, 17, 18. I wasn't like, I got laid when I was 17, but I wasn't like I wasn't an alpha back then. In fact, I've said a million times, I don't know the stuff. I don't talk about what I talk about now because I got everything right. I talk about it because I got everything wrong. So, well, a lot of things wrong. I got some stuff right. But once I got into my sort of rock star 20s and I got to be like 21, 22, 23 years old, right around there, when I was just like a kid in a candy store, I figured out how to get laid. I figured out what I had to do, what I had, the character I had to play, whatever it was that I was doing. I within a certain, reasonable amount of predictability, I could go to a club and get laid. I did exactly that same thing. There was girls that I used to know from back in my high school days that I go, I bet I could nail that girl now. And I did. I turned one of them into a fuck buddy. And I want to talk about friends with benefits, F buddies. I already said fuck buddies today, as well, because it gets into the friendship topic and that might sound a little counterintuitive to you, but it's true. But I did that, and I don't regret having sex with the girl that I got with. But then I realized it wasn't that big a deal because I was with hotter women already, and it was just like kind of like me going, why did I? And she was into it, and it was fun. It was great to have like a sex on demand kind of thing. But eventually I was like, I'm getting with like swimsuit models. I'm getting with girls who could be centerfolds, right? Do I really want to go back to that old thing? And it's not that she was that bad looking. I mean, she was still young. It was fun, but I don't know. It seemed to me like I was trying to recapture something that I probably shouldn't have really been looking for in the first place. But why do they do that? Well, mostly if you can't get with those girls anyways, I wrote that essay to sort of be a warning to guys. Like, you don't go back and cover old ground. Go forward. Don't go backward, young man. Go forward. And so the reason I say that is, let's just say, according to your question here, why is it that women do that? Why is it that the old women don't want to have anything to do with you still? Or I can get laid regularly with fresh faces, but I can't go back and get with Susie from 11th, 12th grade because she still sees you as that guy. That your predominant impression to her is important. That's why, I think it wasn't Royce, it was Pook. Pook said this: if a friend she sees, a friend you will always be. Now, I'm not going to say that that's 100% true, but I would say it's 90% true. You would have to have something really overwhelming to get past that. When guys ask me, married guys ask me, how do I go back to, I lost the frame, Rollo. How do I go back to the hot monkey sex we were having in the backseat of the car before we got married and we were just dating and it was so much fun. And now that we're married, all I get is starfish sex. How do I go back to that? How does that work again? Well, the problem is that your predominant personality, she's got you figured out, right? Your predominant personality to her is beta. And so when you're asking permission, when she realizes you don't have that authority, I think one of the things that marriage does, and really kind of long-term relationships do, but more so marriage does, is I think that on some level of consciousness, women realize that they're in the position of authority, no matter what. Even if they're with a guy who's like really super alpha, or just maybe not quite like, he's not like The Rock or Jason Momoa, but the guy is like, had the frame and then lost. He had the frame before marriage and then he lost the frame after marriage. And when women realize he lost the frame and he doesn't have any real authority, like no matter what, he can't put his foot down. He can't say anything, because if he does, she calls the cops and he's out the door. And even if that's not like even if she's not cognitively thinking of that, it's still, divorce is always an option. It's always on the table. It's always, he's going to do what I tell him anyways, because if he pitches a fit, push comes to shove, I'm the one who's in the real authority here. And as a result of that, women have this, they realize that, well, he's beta and that's his predominant character is beta. And so I don't have to listen to what he has to say. He's going to do what I have to say. I pay the bills. I direct the funds. He makes the money. He might, even if you make more money, she's the one who's spending the money. She's the one who's allocating it. And I could show you statistically that women allocate 90% of American families, for the duration of that family, women direct the finances of that family, of that marriage. So the man makes the money, she spends the money, she allocates it, she pays the bills, she says, we're going to do, this is worthwhile. We're going to buy this car, we're going to buy this house, we're going to live in this town, we're going to have this many kids and this many dogs. And that's it. So you, for all the BS about, gender pay gaps, which has been thoroughly debunked, we can, however, prove that women spend more money than they make. They allocate funds more than men do, because we just abdicate to it. We've given women that authority. So when you do that, yeah, so how do you go back to getting sex? How do you go back to being attractive? How do you go back to that urgency and that anxiety and that sexual tension? Well, let's have date night. No, that's not going to work. You can break up with her or pretend you're going to break up with her. You have better sex in a post-breakup makeup than you would in, sprinkling rose petals all over the, honeymoon suite you rented for the weekend kind of thing. It's because that's contrived. Real romance is not contrived. Real sexual urgency is not contrived. It happens. It's there. And if you're the right place, you're the hot guy in the foam cannon party. It's not like, imagine this, imagine me, or imagine any married guy going, hey honey, I got an idea. We're going to fly down to Cancun. There's this really great club. They got a foam cannon party there. And you're going to come with me, and it's going to be spring break. We're going to be dancing. You're going to have 3 margaritas, and you're going to pretend that you just met me in the foam cannon party, and I'm going to rock your world back at the hotel that I rented after we flew down there. Do you think that's going to be the same vibe? Do you think that's going to be the same energy? And no, I'm not the guy in the foam cannon party. But do you think that you could do something like that? You think you could manufacture that? No. I was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another doesn't happen by design, usually. At least not in the sense that, I've been with him for 10 years and I was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another. Okay, mom. Let's see what else is here. You guys, you're inundating me again. God damn it. I should just do straight call-in shows, right? Okay, or straight chat shows. John Doe, I got you. Stefan, thank you for that $99. Addison says, was friends with this girl for 3 years. We had made out a few times, but she was always sleeping around. I got a girlfriend and she got mad at me over something random. Haven't talked to her to this day. Why? Okay. Because you were the dick in the jar. Or class K. I like dick in the jar better. You were the dick in the jar. You were the plan B. And she was kind of like, I think what happens, and I think I've made this reference before, because it was this skit, or was this comedy bit that was on the old Friends TV show, the sitcom from the 90s. And I don't know if somebody corrected me on this last time. I don't think it was Ross and Rachel. It was like Joey and Phoebe or something like that. Maybe that's it. But the idea is that they were young and they wanted to explore their options and play the field and spin plates and bang other people and everything. And they got together, and this is the archetype here. I'm not just saying this just on the show, but they got together. You're a really great guy. Oh, you're a really great girl, whatever. Maybe the guy wants to explore it, the girl doesn't, whatever, or the guy does, or whatever. The idea is like women would try to sell guys on the idea that you're such a great guy. When you're 30, if you're still single, look me up and then we'll get married, because then I'll be ready to settle down. Then I'll be ready to have children. Then when you are finally on your ascent on your sexual market value scale, when you're heading upwards and I'm heading downwards, I'm really going to need you around. That's why you see exactly what you're seeing right now. That's why the girl gets pissed off and she doesn't want to talk to you and she gets upset. She makes out with you to give you, it's sort of like I think Tom Likas called it the loss leader, right? It's to get you in the door. It's the bait and switch. It's the loss leader is probably the best way to say it. It's like the free samples. That this is what you're going to get if you stick around, or this is what you're going to get. I'm going to make out with you and you're going to have that's really like guys, when a guy is sexually successful or even marginally so, you don't even have to have sex with them, but you kiss a girl, especially if you're a young guy, if you're a teenager and you're watching this, I don't know why you would be, but like you're 14, 15, 16 years old and you get with a girl and you make out with her, but you don't like, go all the way with her or whatever. Go all the way to, you don't hit a home run and go to third base. Right? You're not going steady. You met this one girl, she makes out with you for a little bit and you keep that fire going because you believe in that romantic ideal, right? Oh man, I'm at long distance relationships have, especially in our youths as guys, anytime I listen to a guy tell me, oh, we're in a long distance relationship, 9 times out of 10, it's usually guys who had a girlfriend in high school and they went and she had to go to college and maybe he didn't, or they went to separate ways. But they're talking over, their texts or they're talking over social media or whatever it is. And then just keep the fire burning, the REO Speedwagon song. So keep the thing going. And as a result of one incident or maybe a couple of incidents where the guy goes, if I just stick with it, I'm going to get in there. If I just stick with this, it's good. We're going to be the success story that nobody was. We're going to be high school sweethearts. You'll see this amongst religious guys too, particularly amongst religious guys. But it's the do or die. It's the long game. It's the persistence above all. It's like, I'm going to stick it out for you, baby. I'm going to forsake all others. I'll wait till you get done with college and then we'll get married when you're done. Or I'll wait for you till when we're 30, we'll get together. Well, when you do that, you're only facilitating her mating strategy. You're only facilitating hypergamy because what you're saying to her is, guess what, girl that I like, I'll be here to satisfy the great guy, great dad, provisioning, protection, and parental investment interests of your beta side or your beta buck side of hypergamy. I'll be here waiting for you. So go ahead and bang all the guys have your fun, sow your wild oats. I was so crazy in college. Be that girl, and I'll be waiting for you to take care of you when you're done. And you're doing that. You don't realize you're doing that. If I told a guy that, I said, this is like essentially what you're doing. If I said that, guys would be like, they wouldn't want to sign up for it, or they would want to fight me. They want to punch me. They want to cut my face. They would want to fight me because I'm exposing the game or exposing the mechanics of what it is that they believe, and they get upset about that, or they wouldn't sign up for it. They'd be like, screw that. What am I doing? Because really, and it seems right, because we've got to support her and she's got to have her journey of self-discovery and she's got to do all these crazy things in college or whatever. And what happens for a lot of guys is when they get into the long distance relationship thing, and I should do an episode on long distance. I think I will. I got to write that in the great big book of everything. Long distance relationships usually end, or you should, as a guy, learn the fallacy or get your heart broken, whatever it is, when you're young, when it comes to long distance relationships. And I'm not saying that there's the granular 1%, 2% of guys who actually do that, actually say, oh, well, we held out and now I'm 30 and we have kids and everything. And she went to college and I stayed here and I learned to trade. And now when I was 30, she finally came back to me and, boy, it was like a romantic comedy. It was so good. No, you just facilitated her hypergamous. You were her best option, pretty much, and you planned it that way. You volunteered for it. So keep that in mind when you think you have to do all for love, right? When you hear romantic power ballads or whatever, that's what you need to keep in mind. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying you can't find love in your 20s or 25 or whatever, but pragmatically, it is best to maximize your personal potential, understand your, become first and foremost, become your own mental point of origin. Next, understand you have a burden of performance, have ambitions, have passions, have direction that do what you want to do, find a purpose that you think you should drive for. Even if that's not the thing you end up doing, have something that you're going for that you think is worthwhile. Do that. Keep going. Make yourself your own interest, enlightened self-interest. And if things happen, once you get to be 30, 35 years old, then you'll be in a much better position to make those selections from an educated perspective. Women don't want you to do that. Remember when I tell you guys, like when a woman gets to the epiphany phase and she's looking for the beta in waiting, and she's looking for the guy who's still stupid. She's still looking, and I mean stupid from the sense that he's ignorant of the game. He's ignorant of his role in her optimizing her mating strategy. That's what she's looking for. She wants you to still be dumb enough to forgive her quote unquote indiscretions that she just fell into, right? She wants you to be forgiving enough and to be that swell, sweet guy who any girl would be happy to marry you. Wait for me until when we're 30. Well, when you're waiting for her at 30 and you're still stupid, that's what ideally, that's what she's looking for. But she's still hoping you've made something. She hopes you're going to make partner in the law team, or you're going to be a surgeon by that point. But and again, is this by design? Is this malicious? No, that's the plan. That's the strategy. And from a female perspective, I completely get it. If you could do it, why wouldn't you do it? No, it's unethical. It's immoral. Well, that's a judgment call, and you guys can talk about that all you want. The mechanics are what I'm telling you it is. So beware of that, because women will put you in the friend zone, or you will put yourself into the friend zone, and you will wait, or you will think that it's worthwhile to wait, or you will make it your moral conviction and moral imperative to play the long game. As I said before, when guys who are blue pill guys hit pay dirt after a really long wait, like 10 years wait, for the girl who was in high school who blew him out, and now suddenly she can't get enough of him. She looks him up on Facebook, and whether she's a single mom or not, her circumstances have changed to the point where she's like, oh, I'm done fooling around. I've had my fun. No fun for you. I've had my fun, and now I'm ready to get serious. Well, great. The guys you had your fun with were the dudes in that you were pursuing your alpha fucks with. Those guys, and there's no fun left for me, or I'm the plan B right now. More and more guys are becoming more and more aware of that, but that's something that I think that a lot of women are having to really confront right now. That's why they hate PUA. That's why they hate game. That's why they hate the red pill. They hate them. They'll call me an incel. They'll call whatever. They'll find some way to shame you because you're educating. Ed Lattimore told me this. He said, it's like teaching slaves to read. I'm teaching right here, right now. I'm teaching you slaves how to read and how to understand women's nature, so that when you get to the point where you're 30 and you're not there waiting for her because you're such a swell guy and any girl would want to marry you, I'm trying to teach you how to read. I'm trying to teach you how to benefit from the fact that there's a whole broader, wider world out there, and women don't want that. And so either they have to shame me, or if they have to attack me, or they have to attack the manosphere, if they have to attack the red pill, they have to attack what you can call feminism, gynocentrism, whatever it is. You have to remember that they're doing that because they feel threatened, because it's screwing up the game. It's screwing up the game for them, because you got a guy who understands his own value. And as I said before, there's nothing that is more simultaneously attractive, but also simultaneously as threatening as a guy who understands his own value to women. And if you can maximize that value, so much the better, because it will put you in an educated position. And you know what, ladies, if you're watching this, you want that guy. You honestly want that guy, because you don't want to be stuck with plan B. You don't want to be stuck with the beta in waiting. You don't want to be stuck with the guy who's ignorant and dumb of the game. You want a guy who's like you want to be associated with, because women's egos are attached to the quality of the guy that they get with. That's why they'll defend even the worst, most schmuckiest coward in the world, because they're married to the guy. Oh, my man would never do that. He builds houses, whatever. It doesn't matter whether the guy is a schmuck or he's like an alpha male. Women will defend that, because they're not defending the guy. They're defending their egos, because they're the kind of woman who would get with that kind of guy. So I'm doing you a favor, ladies, by making this public or making this available for guys. So there's the message to the girls today. Let's see. Jason the Dream, what's going on, brother? Yes, I agree. You need to write a game book. So noted. You don't have to write it yourself. Rich and Aaron should write a book. Okay. Aaron already has a book, and so does Rich. Write it yourself. You and Rich and Aaron should write a book. Do a three-way author thing. That would be kind of interesting. Let's see. Our future MD says, can't teach a hammer to love nails. That dog don't hunt. Oh, thank you very much. Anise and Krill. Is that a Dragon Ball Z reference? I don't know. More retired racing dog kibble. Okay, thank you for the $20. I will take $20 and I will put it towards the very expensive dog food that I get. See, Dugan, that will pay for about a third of a 40-pound bag of Greyhound food. Rollo, thanks for your work. This is C. Dugan. He says, read 3/4 of your book, so I guess you're going to read 4. Just started book 4. I'm 38, 5'8", very athletic, good game, working on affluence. Which women in age, height, and status are best to date non-exclusively? Well, do you want the black pill answer? Okay, date girls who are 5'8" or below. There you go. There's your height suggestion. That's what you're expecting me to say. If you think that women who are taller than you are out of your league, you need to reassess that. Second of all, what else did you say? Status-wise, status doesn't matter. Not for women. Not for you, it does. For women, it doesn't matter. Go look for. You want an easier time, or you want a tougher time? I don't know how much. What's your status? What's your socioeconomic status? You still got to look good. So stay in shape. Stay below the 80% of people who are overweight in the United States. Just be normal weight. You probably are ahead of a good portion of them. So maximize your, play to your strengths, my friend. Play to your strengths. Jonah says, quitting porn entirely has helped me with having more, confidence, better game, and being able to read women's behavior left and right. Good. You know why, Jonah? Because when you're not sedating yourself with pornography, you are motivated to go do other things. For all the guys, I get run up the flagpole when I say this, but what was it? Dr. Freud, Sigmund Freud, said all energy is sexual. And I don't mean energy. I mean like all incentivization, the energy that you derive from sexual angst and frustration that drives you to do novel things and novel behavior to seek the reward of sex. That energy, yes, that, as I've said before, you guys know this, 80% of guys are betas. They have to find some way to do an end run around some way to solve their reproductive problem. And as a result of that, you go and you do novel things. You create buildings, you play guitar, you do art, you learn STEM fields, whatever it is that you do that you think is in some way what you're really born to do and your purpose. Usually it has a side benefit of the fact that maybe some girl's going to want to see you as a good long-term perspective. But that, quitting pornography is sedation. Plain and simple. I'm not saying it's some, fiendish plot, sinister plot by the Illuminati and the evil cabal of Satanists who are trying to get you to jerk off more. You're going to jerk off because you're a dude, because you like sex. You want to have sex. Your mating imperative is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, and that's exactly what is provided to you for free. Free. Think about that, man. The number one thing that has motivated human males for the past 100,000 years is free, virtually free online. Why? You would think that would be the most marketed, the most expensive thing that you could possibly get. It's absolutely free. Absolutely. You can go right now. You got a cell phone, you got a smartphone. There you go. You could be 10 years old. 10-year-old boy has access to a level of sexuality that was reserved for kings and dynastic emperors of China and the Forbidden City, Caligula, that level. You can get that right now. And actually better, like leagues better than that. But it's virtual, yeah, but it's satisfying the same thing. It's unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And when that is no longer there to motivate you, then guys get depressed, and then guys don't do anything. And then you have what we have today. Let's see. You will not learn game effectively until you have that proper motivation, I should say. I think that's one of the first things that like PUAs used to say. They used to say like, don't like stop jerking off, but like don't watch porn anymore, or like cut back to once a month or whatever. I don't know, whatever the rationing was. But the idea was sound. The idea is that if you are sedated by that, you have no incentive to go out and learn to read women. How do I flirt? Well, first thing you do is you turn off freaking Pornhub or whatever it is that you're looking at, and you get frustrated or angst filled or whatever enough to go out, and you get motivated to go out and learn. It's not rocket surgery. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Ja nearly cross. I don't know what that means. It's counterintuitive to let the prey know strategies of theirs. Yes. That's why women don't give you good dating advice. Cobra explains male friends nonsense the best. Cobra Kai? Surely you don't mean the cobra with the C. I'll explain to you why male friends are nonsense here in just a second. Nick says this: 2 things I've noticed. Pregnant women seem to be the most respectful, normal acting towards them. The sluts are definitely the most hypergamous. Am I wrong? Thanks. Love your work on content. It's hard to determine. It's hard to really use pregnant women as the baseline for female nature. Women, when they are pregnant, you got to remember that they are swimming. Their bodies are swimming in hormones. So to say, oh, all women do this, don't base it on pregnancy. Women who are pregnant tend to nest, right? I mean, they want security. You want to talk, like, I'm not saying that women don't get horny when they're pregnant. They probably do still, but I would say that they are more interested in the security aspects and nesting at that point. So you have to remember that that's the idea is an insecurity based on protection. Protection is a real big deal for women who are pregnant. Security, long-term security, provisioning, yes. Parental investment, yes. Remember that pregnancy is really the end result of the beta buck side of hypergamy. The sex side, of course, is great because they're looking for the genetic guy, but when they're already pregnant, then yes. Arnold says, I asked because I was naive. I didn't get the game and lost many opportunities thinking the girls hanging out with my friends couldn't be prospects. Arnold, you disobeyed. You broke the iron rule of TOMASSI number 8, which is always let a girl figure out why she won't sleep with you. Never do it for her. That's iron rule of TOMASSI. I believe that's number 8. Never do it. That's from an essay called A League of Their Own. It's also in book 1. It's iron rule of TOMASSI number. I want to say it's 8. I'm pretty sure it's 8. Never do it for her. That's a really, really good point, because when guys get into that platonic relationship, or when they believe that they should start from a position of familiarity, they don't realize that familiarity, rapport, comfort, all that stuff that's supposed to like turn women on is actually anti-seductive. The guy who rocked her world, the guy who was the hot guy in the foam cannon party, the guy who she broke rules for, flew across the country for, didn't care if he was married for, that guy, he's the guy that she really, 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 really wants to get with. That dude doesn't have any rules. There's no rules for that dude. So when it comes to, I'm trying to read this at the same time. So when it comes to deciding like how you're going to go about, like what's your game going to be about, you need to take into most guys only see game from one perspective. They don't. That's why PUA was such a big deal. They only see it from the side of the beta buck side. Jordan Peterson, prime example of this. I met my one when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, and I told my dad I was going to marry that gal. And he did. And he's very self-righteous about it. But when you listen to him talk about his marriage and how he interacts with women and how he uses his marriage as the model for the way that other guys should be dealing with women, it's all based on exactly the same thing you're talking about here. Comfort, rapport, stick with it, the long game, perseverance. Make yourself the best man that you can possibly be so that when she's finally ready to say yes, that you're really a swell guy and any girl will be happy to be married with you. When she's finally that girl, then you'll be right there. And all of that conviction and all that perseverance will finally be rewarded for you. Amen, brother. The clouds part and your ship comes in and now you can live the life that you've always dreamed because you found your one and your soulmate when you were 7 years old. That doesn't happen. And when that does happen, it's always based on the beta buck side of hypergamy. It's not because she has this irresistible desire to just rip your clothes off and like ride you to glory. It's because you were the guy who solved her problem. And her most immediate problem was protection, provisioning, and parental investment. And that's what she needed right then and there. You were the man with benefits. And she was looking for the man with benefits. She wasn't looking for the hot guy in the foam cannon party because she's already got with those guys, broke the rules for those dudes, made you jump through all these hoops, a lifetime of hoops, because it's not just the hoops that you're jumping through. It's not just the rules that you're obeying for her right then and there. It's the rules that you made for yourself to get to that point in the first place. So when you're like 12 years old and you watch Disney, Pixar, Frozen, whatever. Follow your heart. When you believe in that stuff for long enough, and then you finally get to the end where the woman finally has some sort of utility for you, the rules that you have jumped through are not just the ones that she says, well, I got to be comfortable. It's not just her. It's when you were 12 till when you're 30, all of those rules that you imposed on yourself. That's another reason why I kept saying, Iron Rule of TOMASSI number 8. Always let a woman figure out why she won't sleep with you. Don't do it for her. Don't be the one to opt out. Don't be the guy who disqualifies yourself. Don't think that any woman is out of your league. If you're like, say, a 23-year-old guy and you want to get with this really hot girl who's 22, 23, 24 years old and she won't give you the time of day, right? You probably say, well, she's out of my league. I can't go with the girl that's hot. That's that hot. When that girl's 33 years old, she will definitely be in your league. She will definitely be. And you know what? You'll be 33. And hopefully, if you're red pill aware, she won't be in your league because things have changed. If you maximize your potential, if you're on your way to your peak potential, your sexual market value at 35, 36, 37, she will be that girl that you're like, oh, she's out of my league. Now she is. Wait till she's 32, 33, 34 years old. I'm not saying you should even get with her. I'm just saying that things are going to change. And you know how we know that now? I could tell you this. If I was telling you this when I was like in like the 80s or the 90s or whatever, what are you talking about, Rollo? You don't know that. She's probably going to be really gorgeous and she'll be a Fitness America pageant. She'll be in the masters category, but she'll be, 40 years old and hot. You'll probably think that because you don't have any frame of reference. Now, in 2021, we've had at least 20 years of reference and actually more because I can go and I'm not going to do this. I could do this. I could go on Facebook. I could go and track down some girls that I used to know back in high school who I just thought were just fucking amazing. Like I would just, want to bang like so badly when I was 16, 17 years old. And I look at them now in their 50s or maybe in their late 40s or in early 50s. I look at them now and I go, wow. Even girls who I got with who were smoking hot back in like the, I guess, early 90s. Maybe that didn't know them in high school, but I got with them when I was in my 20s and I had so much fun with these girls. And I thought, oh man, she might be a great girl to get with and stick it out with. I look at them now and I go, holy crap, I dodged a bullet. I dodged a machine gun clip full of bullets back then because I made the decisions that I did. I mean, whether I was consciously or not, But now we have those frames of reference. So the girls that want to put you in the friend zone when they're 18, 19, 20, 25 years old, those girls will be happy to have you back, happy to have that guy back when they're a little bit chubby. They can't compete in the sexual marketplace like they used to when they were 23. Now that they're 33, well, it's like 10 years difference. The shoe's on the other foot, my friends. And so we have the ability to do that now. You don't. I think I talked about this. Did I talk about this with Rich? Maybe it was with Ryan. Like you don't have to go to a class reunion to see what happened to Susie, the girl that blew you out when you were like 17 years old, 16, 17 years old anymore. You can track Susie from the time she's 17 till she's 97 these days. Really, gosh, my mom passed away at 81, and I was going through her personal effects, and I was looking at some old high school books that she had. My mom she graduated high school in the 50s. And I can look at the guys that who were writing notes to my mom. I had no idea. But I mean, it's just, she's 17, 18 years old back then. She's got, boyfriends and people who, guys who really liked her. And, it's the 50s, right? Sock hop, it's all sweet, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm going, I could probably find these guys, or maybe a few of these people. I could probably find them online right now. So it's not just like, oh, my generation. I can go back like to the baby boom generation, and I can look people up, and I can show you with a reasonable amount of predictability, I could probably show you how they progressed from, like, say 1955 all the way up to 2021, and what they look like and what they went through and the choices that they made. We have never in human history been able to do something like that to that degree, to that granularity. There's your vocabulary word for the day. To that level of detail, we've never been able to do that. Certainly not with the ease that we have now in our personal relationships. So when we talk about friendship and we talk about like old flame, new game, that kind of stuff, you have to remember that we are now this generation. I think certainly the millennials and certainly the Generation Z, we take it for granted. I don't take it for granted because I lived in an era prior to the internet and after the internet, and I'm looking at this going, wow. We are presented with technologies. We're presented with social situations through technology that we never had access to before. We never could figure. Like, one of the reasons why the red pill could only exist in this time period right now is because we didn't. I wrote this in the book too, in book 4. We never had access to this. I could not have written the 4 books that I've written right now had it not been for the internet. Had it not been for the communication age. I'm very interested in evolutionary psychology and behavioral psychology and to a lesser degree social psychology, and because they're sort of like the peripheral subjects that sort of influence red pill thinking, red pill praxeology. It could not have existed without the technology that we have right now, and I don't think people really appreciate that. I started learning that, by the way, when I did the show about body language. I think I did it with John from Modern Life Dating. When I was talking about body language mastery, he was body language mastery, right? I wrote an essay. It's not in the reference links, but I wrote an essay called Body Language. And it was the culmination of dozens and dozens of guys sending me pictures of weddings and boyfriends and couples primarily, and what I thought of the body language between them. Is this alpha? Is this beta? Did I puss out? Am I more alpha here? Am I this? Am I leaning in? Am I not leaning in? That kind of stuff. I would not have been able to do that in any other era. I would not. What we presume or what we are seeing right now, as far as data sets are concerned, or what our beliefs are being challenged by right now, are all based on new information that we never had access to before. If we did, it was really hard to get it. Now it's much easier to get. 90%, maybe 100% of the very many sites I source in book number 4 are all there because I have an interest in them. I go and I look them up, I find them, and I use them as resources. I try to be as objective as I possibly can, but there you have it. I would not be able to do that. The same thing applies now to your personal relationships. The only reason why I can go and I can say, well, when I talk about how there's betas in waiting, or when a woman gets to her epiphany phase, or when a woman at 23 is hitting her sexual market value peak while a guy is right around 36 or 37 years old is hitting his peak, the only way I can really even reference that is because I have access to data sets that lead me in that direction. You won't think I'm full of shit? Okay, good. Tell me, let's have that debate. Hit me up and say, I think you're full of shit. Great. Come correct though. Use the technology to say, here's what I think. Here's this set, and we'll work it out. That's the praxology. That's why it works. Let's see. K Stickads or whatever your name is. Tips to translate one's verbal game when dealing with foreign non-English speaking women. Sign language. Learn it now. I struggle to flirt verbally in other languages. Thanks, Rollo. Kino. I've seen guys who, remember, there's the universal language is like, oh, you're hot. Okay. You can get with women who don't speak your language just because they are interested in you and are aroused by you and they have a perception of you. Sometimes that might be like the language barrier can itself be the game, like trying to figure things out with, well, she speaks French and I only speak English, and let's try to, I know she's into me. I think what's funny is like a lot of guys, when it comes to flirting or when it comes to IOIs, you know what an IOI is? It's an indicator of interest. Indicator of interest is signs and cues. It could be verbal, but a lot of times it's like women's eyes dilate when they're looking at a guy that they want to get with. You want to know why makeup is what it is for women is because it mimics women's arousal response. And Jordan Peterson has gotten himself in a lot of hot water by pointing this out, but I'll point it out too, is when women put blush on their cheeks, it's to simulate the flush of arousal. That's why it's attractive. Women don't rub ash all over their face. Women don't try to make themselves look gaunt. Women don't try to make themselves look older. When it comes to makeup, those are cues, and there's no language to that. There's no like, you can't talk your way into thinking that your cheeks are flushed when they're not. That's makeup. That's a visual cue. So there's body language, there's physiognomy, there's you have to, and the only way you learn that is when you're right there in the moment and you're recording that and you're making a note of that, mental notes of those things. I didn't when I was in my freewheeling libertine rock star 20s, I wasn't going, I'm going to go take notes and make sure that I know all of this stuff. I didn't have a notebook full of like game tactics or things I got to remember this. I'll highlight that. It's all mental notes. And maybe this is me, I don't know, but I think that this generation of guys right now don't know how to flirt it's not that they don't know how to flirt, it's they just simply don't have social intelligence as a result of their upbringing, as a result of being, this generation that's raised behind a screen kind of thing, because they're not there experiencing that. I can remember, man, when I was 17 and I first started I've been getting laid regularly now, but like semi-regularly on a predictable schedule from the time I was 17 till I am 52 right now. And I can remember thinking along the lines of a lot of most blue-pilled dudes. Like, it's like, oh man, when I get laid, the little birds from Snow White will land on my shoulder and she's the one, and the clouds will open up and the angels will sing. And, it's sex, man. It felt good. It was great. I wanted to do it again, but it wasn't but I had this idea, this sort of, idealistic notion of what it was supposed to. This is meaningful sex. Oh, I love you. It's sex. And then I can remember when I finally got past that point and I was learning how to have sex and I was learning how to read women and what it was that worked for me at that time. Remember, there's no game, there's no internet. Be a musician. That was a good way to get laid. I certainly wasn't the money, but so I learned how to do those things, but again, it wasn't a conscious cognitive process. I just knew what I wanted and I knew what I had to do to get it. And so that's what I did. And it just so happened that I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed, playing in bands. I enjoyed, talking. I still, to this day, I love talking to women. Absolutely. My wife, my daughter, the girls I work with, poor girls, whoever I'm talking. I love to talk to women. I love to interact with women. And it's not because of, I'm going to figure you out. I'm going to take, yes, I'm taking notes now. You have to, maybe it's me, but like, I think my personal experience and my professional experience for sure, I'm a people watcher, right? I had to interact with people for a long time. And so I take mental notes. I'm pretty good at taking mental notes, and I'm wondering if it's a societal thing, maybe it's a social thing, maybe it's this generational thing. Maybe it's just my personal circumstances. I don't know, but I think you need to get good at taking mental notes. You can read theory till you're blue in the face, and I hope you do. I'm not saying it doesn't educate you or save your life, even it does, but at some point you have to put it into practice. Jeremiah Yeomans as a Jordan Belford, the Wolf of Wall Street is the master of cold reader. Yeah, I'm sure he probably is. He's a good example. Guys who are good salesmen are good examples of cold readers. Fortune tellers, I don't know. Asanji, hello, says how to use if she makes you wait for sex rule. Don't. See it for what it is, put her on ice, and then move on. You know what here's your insurance policy, Asanji, for your €2 super chat is don't spin more plates. That's why it won't matter to you if a woman says, I'm going to make you wait for sex. It won't matter if you've got 4 other girls that don't make you wait for sex. So you go, okay.
Gotcha, bitch.
That's all you have to do. And that's why you eject. The only reason you asked me this, Asanji, and I know because you've asked me a million other questions that are similar to this. The only reason that you're asking me this is because you're over-invested in one girl. Stop it. Stop over-investing yourself emotionally, intellectually. Stop it. What is it? They always say, guys are just navel gazing or it's mental masturbation. You know where your mental masturbation is? One girl. Oh, how do I get her to do? What happens when she does this? You're with 3 other girls. What happens when she tells me that, or she breaks a date and she flakes? 3 other girls. What happens when she tells me that she's got to work late and she's going off to Vegas with her friends? 3 other girls. That's the answer. That's the answer. Spin more plates. Don't over-invest. Especially, I'm not saying you can't invest in one girl, but get to a point where you've had so many other girls and you understand women's nature that you can make an accurate assessment of that person. Be judgmental. Assess character. Assess what she is. Does she take care of herself or is she a fat ass? What does she do? How is she going to react? Is she a flake? But the medium is the message, right? Oh, how do I do this when she does this? 3 other girls. That's how you do that. Arthur DeRoy says, and this is not even a super, but this is good. He says, where does Rollo keep getting all of this wisdom from? It's genius. Well, wait, here, I'll tell you right now. This is exactly where I get my genius from. Come here. This is where I get my genius from. Can you come over here? Come over here. Come here. There we go. See, I told you Ned would make an appearance today. This is a true source of my genius right here. Okay. Ned, they want to give you super chat so we can buy your expensive ass food. All right. He needed to come and see his dad. So there we go. Back. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to do the show with Ned in the studio right now. I don't know, experience. Parina James says, is it bad or good if the girl takes red pill as well? I just answered that a few supers back, but I will say this. And understands and respects his views on your books and knows her role as a woman. Well, here's what I would say, and I don't know if you are female yourself. It seems like maybe you are. I will say this is, remember, it's the observer effect. So observing a process changes the process. So what happens that one of the risks I think is, and people ask me this all the time about my own wife, but doesn't she read your books? Doesn't she know what you're all about? Doesn't Ned know what you're all about? Yeah, she does. She'll sometimes even watch like clips of this show, or she doesn't really read the blog. I haven't done a blog in a while, but when she's reading the blog, I'll tell her, hey, you might want to read the blog this week because I think it might be interesting to you. Or there's parts of my book, like she's read book 1 and parts of book 2. But I will, I'll tell her to go and check out the whatever I'm writing about, because I think it will be interesting. However, you always run the risk of the observer effect, which is observing a process changes that process. Okay, he's going to lay down finally. So distracting me. He always has to be like right underneath me. I could put the bed like over here and he'll still come over on this side. So it's the observer effect. And I usually tell guys this. I will say, watch out for telling, be careful of revealing the game to women. Well, sometimes that's, you can't help that. Great if that's where you're at, but understand that you're going to have expectations of him that he might not understand that he has as a result of him being so quote unquote red pill aware. Remember, just being red pill aware doesn't make him like your perfect guy. Okay. It doesn't make him, well, I want a red pill. Trad cons get into this all the fucking time. It's always, well, I need a guy who's salt of the earth man. And he's going to be like, he's going to have a big beard and look like a lumberjack and what? Okay. Well, you might think that. And why do women want red pill guys? Because they think that red pill guys are the solution to their problem. Well, red pill men take responsibility. No, red pill men are just aware of the game. How they apply that is different. So you can have a red pill guy who's very conservative and very, straightforward. And, I want a wife and I want some kids and I want a little dog and whatever. And there's the guys who take the red pill and they become players and they become PUAs, right? Well, today's version of it anyways. And then you got guys who take the red pill and they want to kill themselves because they're doomers, and that's them. So it just depends on the guy that you're with, really. So don't think of it so much as it's a praxology. It's not a lifestyle. It's not an ideology. It is a loose science. So and this is my message to any girls who are like sort of the what we call the sun hat brigade, the girls who are like become conservative as soon as they're done having their fun. I had my fun, right? Now I want to be nice trad wife. Well, great, but and if that's your situation, okay. But don't expect red pill guys to be responsible to you, to be accountable to you, to be liable to you. Well, I want to get with a red pill guy because that sounds like the kind of guy I want to get with. Yeah. Well, why wasn't he the guy you wanted to get with when you were 22? Yeah. And that's not me being, I'm hammering on you or whatever. It's, you need to ask yourself that. What do we have? John Nary Cross says, being typecast is hard to get past if you radiate reason of change that commands higher respect. Still 85 of 15 best, though. Thank you for that. What else do we have here? Czar says, nowadays, women don't just want to break your heart. They want to give you a stroke. I met this girl online and she has a boyfriend but still wants me. Yeah, she is weighing her options. She is, again, plan B. You might even be plan C. And you might think that you're plan A, but you're actually plan B or you're actually plan C. When I talk about like non-exclusivity and I talk about spinning plates, if you've read any of my plate theory series in my first book or on my site, number 5 of that series is a girl game. Like, women are natural, innate plate spinners. They have to be, because they're always trying to find the best option. Because remember, for women, they have their reproductive cost is higher for women than it is for men. It takes longer for them to have a kid. It takes longer for them to achieve what they need to achieve. And they only have a very brief amount of time to optimize it. Between, well, nowadays anyways, 18 and 25, 26, sometimes like 18 and 28, that 10-year span is the most important imperative years for women to solve their reproductive problem. And by that, I mean optimizing hypergamy, alpha fucks, beta bucks. So yeah, that's why they're crazy. That's why, and because women know that. I explained that one time. I said, you know what, women, when it comes to like their sexual market value peak years, like 21, 22, 23, like the joke, 21 forever, it's not 41 forever. For women's optimal sexual market value and their optimal agency, and by agency, I mean their power, their ability to affect change in their own lives. That's what agency means. Got it? Thank you. What does agency mean? What's he talking about? That's what I'm talking about. Agency, as in, I use the term agency in very similar definition to the way feminists use it. Oh, agency this and agency that. Okay, fine. I'll take that definition and I will apply it to you. That's what I mean. A woman's power, a woman's ability to affect change or to direct things the way that she wants them to go. And a woman's primary agency is her sexual market value. All women know this. That's why they strip their clothes off when they want attention for whatever stupid political, vegan, PETA, whatever the hell they're protesting, religion, Catholic church, whatever the issue is. I'm gonna take my shirt off. Okay, here we go again. That's why. So that's what I mean by agency. Let's see. Carnival says, Rollo's book solved the woman question for me, and for that, I'll forever be thankful to him. You are welcome, Carnival. Thank you very much for your support. I know I've got a few others in here that I can actually put on here. Okay. Rebel Without a General, sorry. He says, I would put you up, but I can't because it's already past this thing. It says, Rollo, I got a Skype tutor, early 40s. We talked about meeting for lunch. Her treat then wanted me to change shirts in front of her, then leave my shirt off. Nice body, she says. Is she hitting on me and still... And on me, she still says we are friends. Okay, so Rebel, this is actually something I have in my notes. Thank you for redirecting us back to today's topic here. Now that we are 2 hours and 11 minutes into the show, yes, sometimes friends can be let's just be friends. That can be a shit test. Sometimes. What you're talking, like what you're doing right here is she's asking you to do that so she can check you out, basically. Yeah, dude. If she's asking you to take your shirt off, I would say, yeah, she wants to see what you look like. And your charming personality and your, bulletproof game will not make you look any better when your shirt comes off. So make sure that you look good. There's your looks and your looks maxing quote of the day. There, I said it. Yes, you should look good. The end. So yeah, but the thing is this, if she's still telling you, oh, well, we're just friends, probably one of two things. Again, she's filibustering because she's looking, maybe she's got some other guys that she's, evaluating. She probably still would like to have sex with you. Maybe it's no strings attacked, no strings attached. You could be a friends with benefit. But sometimes women will put that there to see how much you want it. So it's what's called it used to be called the boyfriend disclaimer. When a woman drops, casually into a conversation, I have a boyfriend, or my boyfriend says this, or my boyfriend. That's a boyfriend disclaimer. And what that is anytime you get that, and this goes for everybody. If you're working on a girl, or you're in a Sarge or a social game, I don't care how you're interested in a girl and she drops that. That is always a recognition of the fact that she thinks that you think that you can get with her. That's why they say that. It's never casual. As proficient as women are with communication, subcommunication, I've talked about this a million times when I talk about evolutionary psychology and all that. Women have a natural, innate proclivity, affinity, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to communication. When she says, oh, my boyfriend this, my boyfriend that, that is not by accident. That is not by casual, I was just talking and then the boyfriend thing came out. Bullshit. The medium is the message, and sometimes the message is the message, or there's an underlying message in there. So when a woman says, "Oh, my boyfriend this," or "I would check it with my boyfriend," or "my boyfriend," that's a boyfriend disclaimer. And even if it's not, it's best to err on the side that it is, because mostly it is. So at that point, you have to assess: is this worth me, continuing? Because that's what she wants you to do. Not necessarily continue, but she wants you to assess whether you should continue or not. Well, I told him I had a boyfriend, so if he keeps pressing, then I'm off the hook. Remember when we talk about, and this was like there's a movie called As Good as It Gets, and I think it was Jack Nicholson's character was asked, he was a writer, and one of the secretaries he was talking to, the female secretary, is just in love with him because he was such a good writer. And she says, "How do you write women so well?" And he says, "I think of a man, and then I take away accountability and reason." The accountability part is the part that I want to get at here, because because of whether it's because women are the vulnerable sex, or they're always looking for long-term security, or you can say it's the existential fear of women, or you can say it's the hypergamous filter. She's trying to figure out whether you're the honest broker of your own sexual market value or not. Whatever the case, women always try to avoid accountability. Always. And that sounds really bad. It's one of those things where I say, like, if I say, like, well, women can't love you in the way that you expect them to want to love you, or women love in a different way than men. Like, men love idealistically, women love opportunistically. Or if I talk about respect and I say, well, women just are, and men must become. Men have to become respectable. Women just are deserving of respect because they have a vagina. Right. That's and I can talk about that and do full shows on that. And we can I have done full shows about that. Talk about that all day long. But you're never going to get past the connotation that if I say that, it sounds like I'm attacking women. I'm not attacking women when I say that women always try to avoid accountability. When I talk in book 4, I talk about this, but you've heard me say this before, is that today men have 100% responsibility, accountability, and 0% authority. Women, on the other hand, have 100% authority and 0% accountability, or responsibility, however you want to phrase it. But that sidestepping, that avoidance of accountability is something that has to be, I think is something that is innate to women's nature, is an avoiding of accountability. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that actually in a good way, women avoiding accountability has been sort of a survival adaptation for women. Like, so there's plausible deniability. Well, I didn't mean it to come out that way. I didn't mean to. Well, I was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another. That's avoiding accountability. I've had my fun. I learned my journey of self-discovery has come to an end. That's, please forgive me. Why is Christianity and other certain kind of touchy-feely religions, why is Christianity such a draw for women in the epiphany phase? Because it's based on forgiveness, no accountability. Forgive me of all the shit that I did from 18 to 28. I really need a man with benefits right now, and the Lord has forgiven me. Why can't you? That's, again, that's sort of the socio-religious manifestation of avoiding accountability. The reason why is because women are the most vulnerable sex. They want to be children when it suits them. They want to be unaccountable for things when it suits them, so that they can affect in a passive way, in a covert way. They want to, they don't have to do this now, but this is the legacy, sort of the vestige of that evolutionary impulse to avoid accountability. It's almost, I should really write an essay about this, because this is essay worthy. I don't think I want to do a show about this, but I think that one of the reasons why women avoid accountability is it's a survival trait, but it's also, I think, tied to hidden estrus, or hidden concealed ovulation. So you never, like, for certain primates and certainly humans, women have what human females have, which are women, have what's called concealed ovulation. Men don't know when a woman is actual. We do know, but only instinctually. We don't actually have any, like, women's asses don't turn red like a baboon's when they're in heat, right? Or there's no like outward indication, let's just say. And there's a reason for that, is because alpha primates tend to kill the offspring of rival alphas that they have deposed or, kicked out or killed in some cases. And then they will end up killing the offspring of the previous alpha. Well, how do you get around that from an evolutionary perspective? Concealed ovulation. As a result of that, women being the most, or female primates in this case, being the most vulnerable of the two sexes and also having the most investment costs in reproduction, it behooves them to have something like concealed estrus or concealed ovulation. So that and this is another reason for the communitarianism part of women's psyche, is there has to be a collective, or there has to be some sort of group or coalition to ensure the survival of the offspring that belong to maybe the rival alpha, but certainly that belong to the females of that particular tribe or that troop or whatever you want to call it, like the collective of humans or primates or whatever. And I think that part of the desire to be unaccountable is an appeal to protection, provisioning, and parental investment. So when we say, oh, women are the oldest or the most mature teenager in the house, or we treat women as if they are children. And again, I'm referencing book 4, but there's a section in here where I get into this. The reason why we look at women as children is because we see them as something that needs to be inherently protected. You would take a bullet for your kid, right? You would fight for your tribe. You would fight for your family. You would fight for your legacy, your genetic. Essentially, what you're saying is, I would protect my genetic legacy at all costs. If that means altruism, if that means sacrificing my life to ensure that my progeny will go on to the next generation, then that's what I will have to do. That's endemic. I would say that's certainly part of men's. Human primate or female or primate, male primates. And again, I'm not trying to convince you we're from monkeys or anything. I'm just saying that's the similarity there. But the idea of women being unaccountable to things, and this comes down to the friendship thing. Don't want to be accountable for being selective or perpetuating her options. So how does that apply to Iron Rule of Tomassi number 3, which is, anytime a woman makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. Well, why is she making you wait in the first place? Usually there's mitigating circumstances. So how does she weigh those? How does she keep you on the hook? How do you stay interested? Well, you create social conventions and social dynamics that make it a moral imperative for you to persevere, to stick it out, to jump through the hoops, even if jumping through the hoops takes decades for you. And then finally you hit pay dirt, and she's already, optimized her hypergamy with, 3 kids from 2 different fathers, and you're the man with benefits. But you feel it's your moral imperative to forgive her of her past sins and forgive her of her indiscretions. And she was so crazy in her college years. And it's really those PUA alpha guys who ruined her for me, but I'm going to, pray it all away kind of thing. And you're going to be that guy who's the dutiful. You're just fulfilling a role. She doesn't want to be accountable. And you're like, that's okay. You don't have to be accountable. I believe this. And we're starting to see that that's kind of like fraying at the edges right now in the internet age. But that's the reason. The accountability, when women don't want to be accountable for anything, they want the authority for sure. That's why we've switched everything. 100% authority, 0% accountability / responsibility. Men, 100% responsibility and 0% authority. Now, that's the ideal situation. That's what in a gynocentric social order, that's the ideal. That's the utopia, where men are just there. Men are either breeding stock or they are draft animals. That's the gynocentric dream come true. Line them up against the wall. Which one do you bang? I'll bang that one right there, or I'll just take his sperm from the sperm bank because he'd probably never get with me. But that's okay. He'll jerk off in a cup, and then I'll be able to complete my reproductive, imperatives. I'll be able to have his kids, and then I'll get this, whoever the nicest, cutest stuffed animal at the end of the bed is to take care of the bill. That's if women could legislate that and make it illegal for you to even talk about that, then that's what they will do. That's my my sermon on accountability. That's why that's funny. I take away reason and accountability. Oh, what a misogynist. No, he's true. He's speaking the truth. Why is it the truth? Well, we can analyze that and pick it apart. No, you're not supposed to. Let's make it illegal. So, how to fight? This is good. So what you're saying is, when my Bitcoin makes me 7 figures and a girl isn't trying to rip my clothes off, she wants my Bitcoin more than me. Yes, you're right. Go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin and hodl, whatever, hold. Hey, Rollo, who gets over the breakup quicker, men or women? You're referencing the war brides dynamic. Women tend to get over breakups way quicker than men do, because men have a good observation. Men have an investment in their own paternity. Women have to have it concealed. They don't want you to know that you are being cuckolded. Still to this day, and we will install rules so that, medical staff can't tell you if the baby's really not yours. They are confined by law, limited by law, that if a doctor discovers that the baby is really not yours, even if you've got a genetic issue, even if you've got a disease, they have to go jump through a lot of legal hoops to be able to tell the father that the baby's really not his. You want to know why, was it 23andMe? Remember the genetic test? Like, where are you from? Like the genetic testing kit kind of thing that comes out to let you know like what your ancestry is or whatever. That right there bypasses that. And I don't know is it still around? Is 23andMe still around? I think it might be. But that right there was bringing to light a lot of cuckoldry. And that's really men's existential fear, is to be cuckolded. Now people, you're talking about cucks? No, what I'm saying is like men have if men can be convinced to take care of a child that they didn't sire, but they still think that they sired it. And I think I'm using that properly. If it's not his kid and he can be convinced that it is his kid, that's a genetic boon for women. You've just completed her hypergamous thing. She mated with the guy who she thought was the best genetic specimen, and she's got you to foot the bill. That's just what I've been talking about a second ago. And so there you are. And you can't talk about it. And you can't even get a DNA test. Yeah, especially in France. France's getting a DNA test to find out if the kid is yours is illegal. I don't know what it is here, but look at what we do. Look, God, I didn't want to get in this topic today, but look at what we do when it comes to men's evolutionary biological imperatives versus women's evolutionary biological imperatives. We say, well, women's eggs are precious. We're going to freeze them. And if you're in a Fortune 500 company, we're going to make egg freezing, ovum freezing part of your benefits package. That's how precious eggs are. If you're in a divorce and you didn't have kids and you were trying to do like fertility, therapy or whatever, and she has some of your sperm and still some of your eggs, guess what? If she becomes pregnant and you're already divorced, you're on the hook for that. Hell, even if a female teacher rapes a 15-year-old boy and a pregnancy results from that, the boy is still on the hook for child support for that. That's the priorities. I was reading an article on how women's eggs or her potential for childbearing, even if she doesn't have to be frozen, they just be still in her, right? Well, you've got to pay a fine for not having kids with her in the divorce settlement. We make eggs a part of the assets that is at least taken into consideration in a divorce settlement now. We don't take sperm into account. Once sperm leaves a man's body, he's entirely powerless over it. So when you look at things like that, why do we prioritize that? Why do we say, well, you can't get a DNA test? I was watching somebody sent me a Twitter thread about how this woman said that if a guy asked her for a DNA test, she would divorce him. like for their kids. Or if a man asks for a DNA test, it means he's insecure. He has security issues. Like, you're damn right. Because the reason why that's offensive to women is because guys aren't judgmental enough. And they're starting to become judgmental enough to say, I don't think that kid's mine. I want to get a cheek swab so I can figure out if the kid's actually mine. And I've been paying child support for a kid that's not mine. Why is that important to the guy? Well, because paternity is evolutionarily important to guys. Your genetic legacy. Because if you're taking care of a kid that's not yours, you are a genetic evolutionary dead. You are officially, your line is dead. And the other guy that she got with, who she said, oh man, I really want to have his kid, then he goes on and you don't. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Okay, well, and you don't care and you're not breeding. Or if you are, you're like the second choice breeder. You're still taking. So I had guys, I had people give me that tweet. The other one was the tendency. You don't hear this from guys. You don't hear this from girls. Like when a mother names a child, like a male child, and that male child is named after a previous, like an ex-lover or her alpha widow or whatever, like the guy that really just banged her hard and the alpha that she couldn't lock down, his name is like Chad, right? Or Troy or Butch, I don't know, whatever. And they name the kid that. And then later on, when the kid is like 10 and her sister says, oh, wasn't Butch your old boyfriend? You know, because she gets drunk one night or something and blurts it out. That's the test on whether you're blue pill and whether you're a cuck. It might even be your kid, right? I'm not saying it's not your child, but she named it after the guy she wants to remember for the rest of her life. That's an alpha widow. That is taking alpha widowness to like biblical proportions. I named him Chad because Chad really rocked my world in the foam cannon party when I was so wild in college. Look that up. It's probably not going to happen if you have a daughter because she's just going to, unless she's a lesbian, right? I don't know. But that's probably not going to happen. And usually, of course, it's not going to happen. I don't think it ever happens with men naming their daughters. But check that out. If you have a kid and your daughter and your wife or the mother with your baby mama says, I want to name him Jim. Why? Nobody in your family's named Jim. Your dad's not named Jim. Why is that? I don't know. I just really like the name. I will guarantee you she probably has some lover in her past named Jim. Trust me. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I just want to say, like the accountability thing and the imperative thing is really important. And so, Dash, to answer your question, the reason for this, the reason why women get over it quicker is because it is evolutionarily in their best interests to do so. Women get Stockholm syndrome much more than men do. Go read, and if I had time for it, I'd explain it to you. But I have an episode on alpha widows that's on this channel, and then also you can look up. Just go search alpha widow on the rationalmale.com in the search box there, and it will tell you everything. In fact, that's exactly the reason why that question that you just asked is why I wrote those essays. Can you be friends with a girl if she is a full-on lesbian? No. Now, let me explain to you why that is. Because what do you do with your friends? What do you do as a guy? Like, what you will put up with so much more shit with your female friends than you would ever. You would get in a fist fight with your friends, your male friends, if they pulled the same kind of stuff that you will tolerate from your female friends. Well, like I have this all the time. Guys will say, well, Rollo, I have a friend. I'm totally friends. You're just insecure in your masculinity. You can totally have female friends. No, you can't, because you're applying your approach to women to your platonic friend, what you think is a platonic friendship with a woman. When women approach friendships with guys, they do so from the perspective or using the model or the approach that they use with their girlfriends. I'm sure you've heard me say this, so I'll say it again. Women have boyfriends and they have girlfriends. If you're not fucking her, you are her girlfriend. Now, whenever I say that, guys lose their minds. What are you saying? Oh, well, I want to have sex with her. And Ryan has said this. He said this before. I threw out I think a better scenario than Ryan did in that tweet thread. But I said this is like, if you have your girlfriend who you happen to be out in the woods or in a cabin, or you're somewhere on vacation with your girlfriend or whatever, and she, tossed back a couple glasses of wine, and she shows up in a nightie and she says, I really want to take our friendship to the next level. What's your response? Is it, let's go? Or is it, no, I wouldn't want to ruin our friendship with sex. No guy's going to do that. That's number one. That's the sexual side of this. So that's the guy going, like, because guys get hung up on this. They think that, well, what I'm saying is that guys are always horny and they don't have friendships, or they don't even entertain friendships with women that they're not attracted to in the first place, hoping they're going to get in there. And then they go, well, you're insecure, and men and women are all the same, and it's blank slate equalism again. And so you go down that rabbit hole, but that's all based on emotionalism, and it's all based on this presumption of blank slate equalism. Well, if you were in control of your dick, if you thought with the big head instead of the little head, then you could totally be friends with any woman, because we're all the same. We just have different plumbing. It's your problem. It's your character flaw that you think that you can't be friends with women. No, it's not. It's that women can't be your friend. It's not that guys wouldn't want to be. I think guys really think that women are rational and reasonable enough to actually be their best buds, right? Well, what do men do when they're like, my best friends, you know what I have in common with them? Something. Like, I do something. I share some sort of, like they like my books, right? They play guitar. They play the games that I play. They ride snowmobiles. I'm about to go hang out with my other tribe of snowmobiling friends that I only really hang out with in the wintertime. I like to go kayak fishing. I had a whole bunch of friends that used to do that with when I was in Orlando. Still do that. Fishing buddies, right? I have something that's a common interest. Well, it's not to say that you can't have friends, female friends that do that. But I think what happens is guys think they think too literally. They think too binary. They think that if I say you can't be friends with a woman, it means that I think you should be enemies with women. No, not at all. You be the He-Man Woman Haters Club. You're a real misogynist if you don't think men and women can be friends. Well, I don't think men and women can be friends to the same degree that men and men can be friends, or women and women can be friends, because there is a difference in the way that we relate to our same-sex friends versus our intersexual friends. So when I'm relating with the guys that I hang out with, like my best friends right now are like I've worked with. I had some, like my best friend Ray is a guy that I've known for a long time, that I worked with for a very long time. I'm very good friends with all the people in my band, one of which is female, but we're all really good friends. But it's not like I'm going to go say, hey, let's all go let's go see a movie or whatever. It's like if I share some other interest, then we go and do that. And that's how you relate, and that's how you develop friendships. You can get something a little bit deeper. I always tell the guys this too, is that guys will say, how do I develop networks of friends with men? I don't understand men. I don't have any friends. Well, are you developing something that you have a common interest? That's the easiest way. Do you have a workout partner? Do you like the gym? Yeah, I work out every day. Do you have a workout partner? No, I just go by myself. Well, there it is. There's one tribe you could probably develop. Do you go to church? Do you go to school? Do you have interests? Do you have hobbies? Those things are going to develop male-male friendships. And then from there, you've developed a network. Congratulations, you've got a tribe. For women, it's usually, again, the way that women communicate is they enjoy the communication. It's not so much the having a common interest, although they might, but it's the act of becoming that friend, interacting with that person. Seeing that person or seeing like a woman to woman thing, it's a communication is enjoyable. Not so much what they're doing. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying on priority, it's the communication is the priority. And so the friendship happens because, well, we're girls. We can talk about girl things, paint our nails together, go have coffee together, go do whatever we're going to do together. But it's not so much the doing thing as it is the communication aspect of it. And so that is really the female model of friendship. So when a guy says, okay, I'll be your friend, it's all, first of all, you're entering that woman's frame because you're agreeing to be her friend, or you're just trying to develop this thing because you believe for whatever reason that you can be platonic friends with a woman. I'm not saying that's not a noble endeavor. Great, but usually it's a waste of time, because when you do get a girlfriend, when you are spinning plates, you don't have time for that. What do you do with your friend? I've asked guys this before, like especially younger guys. Younger guys will say, well, yeah, of course we can be friends. Well, guys and women, we can always totally be friends. I'm like, okay, what do you do with your friends? We hang out. Hang out where? What do you do? What do you do? Like, I think it's funny. If you ask a guy who says, I think men and women can be friends. If you ask them what they actually do, it's never what they would do with their other buddies. Oh, we're going to go, drink beer and play video games. No, you're not. You're hanging out with her because either you feel an obligation to be friends because you got the LJBF, like the let's just be friends rejection, and you feel it's incumbent upon you to sort of, pretend that you're going to be friends. And usually that's because you think you got a chance. But even if it's not, let's say, oh, you're friends. I'm not saying you can't be acquaintances. You can't be courteous. You have to be an asshole. I'm just saying that the degree of friendship between men and women is different than men and women, because men will always tolerate more. You're all automatically in the female. Well, for the most part, like guys who are like alpha enough that the woman says, well, I'll be your friend. Well, you might be friends with that guy, but it's like almost a reverse of like the friends with benefit kind of thing. We'll talk about that here in a second. But so if it's the reverse and the guy is like has more value than the girl, then she's always there and she becomes a liability to that guy until he gets a girlfriend, until he's banging other girls, or until he's spinning more plates. Same thing with a woman. Guys who want to be friends with the girl and then the girl gets with another guy. If she's really has genuine desire for the guy that she's with, she ain't going to spend time with her friend. And the guy if he's alpha enough to inspire that level of desire, do you think you're going to still be in her phone? Do you still think she's going to respond to your messages on whatever social media you're on? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that she's being a bitch or anything. I'm just saying that that's the natural progression. She's going to want to spend time with the guy that she really has a genuine desire for. And that ain't you. You're not going to movies. You're not hanging out. You're not walking around the mall. You're not going to coffee. Whatever it is. Oh, we're fishing buddies. No, you're not. The fuck out of here with that. Most guys entertain male-female friendships because either they think they got a chance or they feel obligated because it's part of their conviction. I'll tell you this is when guys get a girlfriend and they still think that that guys and girls can be friends, that's when their opinion on that changes. Because they realize that if they don't like apply themselves to the girlfriend and they're spending time with their female friend, going to movies and hanging out, what does that say to the girl? Oh, you'd rather spend time with your female friend than like fuck me? Than, go do things that boyfriends and girlfriends do, or that, maybe your plate does with you. It doesn't work that way. And as I said before, women have boyfriends and girlfriends. If you're not fucking her, you are her girlfriend. So when you, as a man, this is very important. This is the most important part of the show today. As a man, when you agree to that, when you say, yes, I'll be your friend, what you're doing is you're saying, I will relate to you as your girlfriends will. I will be your friend in the same capacity that your girlfriends are, because women's only model for friendship is with their girls. Their girlfriends. Again, not family, not intimacy, not familiarity, but with their girlfriends. So when you do that, you start, and this is what throws guys off, because they think that the more familiarity, the more comfort, the more they align and identify with the feminine, the more attractive they will be. And so they stick it out. But so what happens is when you start relating to women in a female context, when you start talking to them as their girlfriends would talk to them, that's their opinion of you. I got a question just a little while ago. Well, how come I have all this red pill knowledge and I can get laid on the regular, and I go back to the girl who I really want to get with from high school or whatever, and she still sees me as a friend? Yeah, because probably back then you were relating to her as a friend, as a girl, as a female. So when you tolerate the bullshit, when you relate to her as a girl, when you essentially become a girl. That's why I say boyfriends and girlfriends. If you're not banging her, you are her girlfriend. It's not because you're trying to be a pussy. It's because that's what her psyche says. Well, he's talking, this person, this human here, that we're all equal, right? This person here that is talking to me says things that my girlfriends say, or he speaks from a feminine primary perspective, or he's in my frame just like my girlfriends are. He must therefore be a girlfriend. And not that that's a cognitive thing, not that it's a hindbrain thing. It's the lizard brain thing, right? He's relates to me as my girlfriends relate to me. Therefore, he's a girlfriend. That's why I say that. It's not an insult. That's an analysis. If you're not banging her, if you're not the guy that she wants to fuck, then you're a girlfriend. You're relating to her as one of her girlfriends are. And you really don't have much choice of that, because guys will put up with all kinds of shit. And if they weren't putting up with all that kind of stuff that they wouldn't tolerate from their male friends, they wouldn't be in the friendship in the first place. That's how it works. So it's not that you're an asshole. It's not the sex thing so much, although that's an element of it. It's that you're relating to her and communicating with her on the same level and in the same context that her girlfriends do, because her only model for friendship is with her girlfriends. So when women say, "Oh, I can totally be friends. He's just a great," we just peck on the cheek and we will go our separate ways and everything. No, you're an orbiter. That's where beta orbiters come from. You're like, "Oh, I'll be there for you, baby. Don't worry." And again, I'm not saying you can't be her friend. I'm just saying that what you think of as friendship, this platonic friendship that's based on blank slate equalism, is a freaking myth. You can still entertain those things, and you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to hate women. You can't say, "Oh, just because I can't be friends with you." Like, guys will take this all the time. They'll say, like, a woman will tell a guy tries to get with a girl, and the girl says, "Can't we just be friends? I don't think of you like that." Okay. What do you think of me like? I think of you like a brother. Familiarity, rapport. What she's saying, when a woman says, "I think of you as a brother," what she's saying is, I think of sex with you would be like incest. That's what she's saying. She will, like, the thought of you will never see me naked because you seem like somebody I'm related to. And I don't have sex with my brother or my father or my male relatives. You're nice and you help me out and you facilitate my security and my long-term security, like other members of my tribe, my family, my male members do for me too. Why don't you do that without any sex? So when you are in the friend zone is the parallel for the fuck buddy. The parallel is that when what you're doing is you're providing just the beta buck side of hypergamy, protection, provisioning, parental investment. You're there emotionally. You're the stuffed animal, right? You're there for emotional support. You're there for tactical and logistical support. You're there to help out with the kids. You're there, but there's no sex. No sex whatsoever. You know who gets that? Her brother, her father, there's no sex involved, but they're there because they love her. They love the daughter. They love the sister. Because they're part of the family and part of the tribe. And it's that altruism and that protection, male protection dynamic, as I said in the fourth book. But it's there, but no sex. So why would you agree to that? Well, I'm just a swell guy and she's part of she's in my religion or she's my school or she's in my, okay, you can make that case, but don't say it's about friendship. Don't say it's about, I'm hoping I'm going to get in there. Because, I don't think enough guys realize that familiarity, rapport, comfort are all anti-seductive. And the reason she feels that for you overwhelmingly, like above and beyond anything else, like comfort and support and security with you, the reason she feels that above everything else is because you haven't made it sexual. You're not a sexual threat. And I don't mean that in like, oh, threat. I mean that you're not like a sexual being to that person. You're just a stuffed animal. You're a stuffed animal at the end of the bed that she can pick up and hug and love on and then put you away when she doesn't need you anymore. And again, not opportunism, not necessarily a bad thing. Like, to her, she's great with it, but it's a parallel to the fuck buddy. So the fuck buddy is this. The fuck buddy is sex and that's it. No emotional investment, no personal investment, no security investment. It's just, hey, babe, I'm free for a couple of hours. Come over here and let's get after it. I'm right there. I've had them. I've had 4 fuck buddies in my life. And I know exactly how it works. There's no emotional investment. There's no like plans for the future. There's no, where is this going? Because the woman knows where it's going. It's not going anywhere. She just enjoys having sex with you, and you're enjoying having sex with her, and you'll do until she finds the guy who's going to be the dude who's going to, go for the long haul, or she gets to the point where she needs the sucker when she's 30 years old, whatever it is. That's the fuck buddy situation. All sex, no emotional investment, no personal, no. Let's go meet mom. For you as the friend, as the let's just be friend, that's the opposite for men. It's all emotional support and all security and all provisioning and all protection and all duty and faith and loyalty and everything else, all that good stuff that her attraction triggers on and all of her beta bucks side of hypergamy triggers on, all of that with no expectation whatsoever of sex. It's exactly the opposite. And not enough guys understand that. Even to this day, and I've talked about this before, even to this day, guys don't understand that. Well, I'm we call him the emotional tampon. We call him the phone friend, I think is what I referred to him as, the AFC, the average frustrated chump. That guy, and that's an old school term, but it's still applicable today. The guy who doesn't get it, or the guy who would like to get it, but he thinks that the way he gets it is by being Mr. Dutiful and planning his life around support and security of a woman. Well, if that's what you're doing and women see that and they read that, you're the man with benefits, but they don't need that guy right now. They don't need that guy at 23. They're going to need that guy at 33. They want you to stay sweet. Stay sweet. They wrote that in your high school yearbook. Stay sweet. See you this summer. That's where that comes from. Is please stay the way you are because I'm going to probably need you once I'm done sowing my wild oats. And what's funny is it used to be guys that did that. We would expect guys to do that. Well, guys are dogs. They just want to bang girls. Well, we used to be able to. Now it's women who want that 100% authority and 0% responsibility. So, all right, let me see what else I got here. And that is why you can't be friends with a girl who is a lesbian. Question, how to get girl interested in you so you can try to use game. A, look good. Yes. Question, what does social circle game? I already talked about that earlier. A, answer, being in a situation with a hot girl, spend money. No, that's not what it means. You don't have to spend money in social game whatsoever. In fact, if anything, you'd be doing it wrong if that's the case. If you're, why would you spend money on a girl that you, even if it's social circle, why would you spend money on a girl ever? What would be give me a justifiable reason why you would spend money on a woman that you're not your daughter, not your wife, not your girlfriend. Why would you, or even a girlfriend, why would you spend money? And I don't mean that, I'm not being an asshole. I'm just asking the question. Why does a guy spend money on a woman? Is it because he wants to buy her favor? Is it because logistics? Well, I got to pay for this, whatever. Is it, I want to buy you something nice because I think you're a great person? I mean, I have friends, right? I buy stuff for friends. I'm trying to be as, if I can, my motto is this, or my thinking is this, is if I can help, I will. I'm at a position in my life right now where is if I can help, I will. I am still all about, enlightened self-interest. But once I get to that point, I get to a point where I think of myself first, and I've done pretty well as a result of that. Well, the difference between a grifter and, everyone's a grifter. Was it Hotep Jesus said this? Everybody's a grifter. The difference between grifters is the ones that give back instead of just take. So everyone, especially in this day and age today, is a grifter. I'm a grifter. You're a grifter. Everybody's a grifter. All right, is that guy giving back? Is he doing something for you? Is he doing, and I'm not saying, again, this is not a moral or a conviction thing. It's like, that's the difference between the guy who's always on the take versus the guy who wants to give something back to the people that he's taking from. So I think it kind of, I kind of like that description, but why would you spend money on a woman? Most guys will say, well, you only spend money on a woman because you want to get laid. Okay, if that's the case, why come on out here to Reno? I'll take you up to Dayton or Mound House, and I'll get you laid. It'll cost you a lot less money than you're probably spending on your friends. Ned's still here. He's groaning. He wants me to get done. So I will in a minute here. Chase says, on topic, at 29, I found some were angry. Some were angry. I turned out not to be the plan B or beta in waiting because I discovered my value. Off topic. Book 4 is a thought-provoking book on love. Love is God chapter now. Yeah, that's a pretty heavy one. That's a good chapter. Wait till you, I think, I don't want to give away the book, but I will tell you this. If you're reading book 4, it builds up to the very last chapter. The very last chapter sums up everything that the book is about. Don't read that first because you'll be confused. But when you're reading the very first like 2 or 3 chapters in it, you'll be like, what's he talking about? But it builds. Each chapter builds on the one prior to it. See how clever I am. So like chapter 1, you go, okay, I understand, but this is a book about religion. Where's he going? Book chapter 2. I get it. Blah, 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 blah. That builds on this. But what is he talking about here? Oh, chapter 3 builds on 1 and 2. And then so it keeps going until you get to what, chapter 14, 16? I can't remember all of the afterward. It builds to all of those things. So I'm not saying you don't have to, it's really engaging. I think it's engaging. I think it's pretty good. I spent a lot of time in the process of writing it. And by that, I mean, I've tried to make it as clear as possible. I try to use as few $10 words as I could. And not because I think, oh, you're a dumbass. I just did it because it needs to be intelligible because there's a lot of ideas in here. And I don't want to convolute them with like, oh, look at the big brain on Rollo. Check out the big brain on Brad. Oh boy. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to play catch up here. That was Chase. Jim says dominant mom and blue pill dad. Hell of a combo. I was always socially awkward. I bet you were. Despite good looks, other life success, and new red pill and PUA knowledge, it's difficult for me to get with women in their 20s. Yeah, probably because again, Jim, the red pill is not a cure. It is not a panacea. Do you know what that is? Panacea, a cure-all. It's not a magic pill that makes everything better. It is a process. It's like learning a martial art. Think about it that way. You're a white belt. Well, maybe you're not a white belt. Maybe you're I'm trying to think of Taekwondo or something like that. You're a purple belt right now. You can spar a little bit, but you get your ass kicked by a black belt. Think of it in those terms. It's mastery. It's not something that just like, if I could do it, man. If I could like you remember in the Matrix when like they teach Neo, like I know Kung Fu, and he's just like in that chair and he's like, and he learns stuff like they just cram it into his brain. How awesome would that be? If you could do that with the red pill, now I'm red pill. I can finally do what I want to do. It's the process. You don't become who you are as a red pill aware guy by just like reading. First of all, I think it's important, but understanding concepts is important, but it's by the doing, because the process of doing that leads you to mastery is the mastery as well. I've done this in the past, so I know what I'm doing. You can apply that to anything. There's no magic pill. There's no God mode. There's no cheat codes to a lot of different things. The great thing is you have access to this. That's magnificent, but the process is still the process. Nick Smith. Rollo. Rollotomassi, need help, red pill help. What if you F up and a girl get a girl pregnant and she keeps it because you're the best she can do, but you don't want her? Well, my friend, you are in deep shit. Sometimes, Nick, your life serves as a warning to others. First off, I would demand a DNA test. Maybe you're pretty 100% certain that it's yours. Again, this is a judgment call. I would say you, as a guy, you need to be the father. We need fathers. We need involved fathers, especially today that are red pill aware, that can teach the next generation. Because what's going to happen is if you opt out and you bail and oh, she's not the best I can do. Well, then you make the best of it, of what you made a mistake. Okay. No kid's a mistake. Okay. Well, you made a kid through a mistake. And perhaps it's by her design. Again, there's no such thing as an accidental pregnancy. I fucked up and got her pregnant. Well, then you fucked up. Well, in that case, I would say it's certainly your responsibility to, father that child, be the parent for that child. Here's the look on the bright side. You've managed to, assuming you know this for certain, you've managed to reproduce, and your genetic legacy will live on in this kid that you know is yours. That's an advantage that a lot of guys don't have. So stick with it. She keeps the kid. Okay, great. You don't have to talk her into an abortion, whatever. I mean, I think a lot of guys, when they get into the situation, they think that their lives are, my life's over. Doesn't have to be. I'm not saying leave her. Don't. If anything, I think you should take the responsibility. Well, it's not so much the responsibility as the opportunity. You get to raise a kid. How fucking awesome is that? And she gets to have a kid, which in this day and age, most women, like I said, for between 25 and 44, by 2030, most women will be single and childless still. So what are you going to do? How are you going to change that? Well, one person at a time. Be the best dad that you can be. There you go. And make sure, and here's the thing, Nick, again, when guys go like black pill or doom pill or whatever, and I talk about the abyss, that's one thing. And usually it's because guys who are stuck in blue pill thinking or stuck with their blue pill ideals, hoping that the blue pill was going to be true and their perfect world was going to remain. The reason why they can't get past the despondency and the nihilism is because they don't see the opportunity in the red pill. The same thing applies here. See the opportunity in the red pill for being a red pill dad. You can do that. You know what? You get to tell her, look, you might be on the hook for child support. You might be, maybe you're married. Maybe you just say, you know what? I'm going to do this for you because I love the kid and this is my project. This is where I'm going. This is my design. See the opportunities that exist in that. Well, what if she gets fat and I don't want to bang her anymore? Well, then you have to be the one to lay down the law. You have to be the one who's stepping up, and by that, I mean, you're stepping up in the fact that you are the one who's going to dictate where she's going to go and what she's going to do and how you want to live your life from a red pill perspective, and pass that on to the kid. Maybe it's a male, maybe it's a daughter, who knows? So, let's see. What did you say? You said raising this kid with this woman will be miserable. I feel like I'm better off letting her do it on her own and living my life working to find a woman and intentionally have a kid with. Okay, well, the fact remains you've already got a woman pregnant. You already have a child that's part of your genetic legacy that's coming into this world. If you think it's going to be miserable, then if that's your assessment, first of all, why are you asking me advice? And then second of all, if that's the case and you know that for certain, and this is the decision you're going to make anyways, then at the very least, take care of the kid while you are making your life the way that you want it to. And you have to motivate every day. You've got a big plan in front of you if that's the case. If you say, well, I'm not going to marry her because she's just this miserable bitch and she's just going to be fat and I'm never gonna, well, you still should see the child as the opportunity. Even if you don't see her, you don't want to marry her. Okay, I get it. And don't. You can still be an involved father. You can still be a part of the kid's life. And yeah, you got an uphill battle. Understand that going in, but you got to do what you got to do. Or you can just be responsible for another blue pill chump kid who kills himself and offs himself or shoots up a school, or a bitter daddy issued daughter. You could do that too. I would suggest not. I think if it's your kid, once you see the kid, you'll probably be like, okay, I'm emotionally invested in the kid, but find out it's yours. Let's see. This is it. No more after these. Don't give me any more. I'm not talking about it anymore. That was Nick. This is Marcus. Here we are. Hey, Rollo, you called Jordan B. Peterson an asshat for telling guys to find meaning with no mention of purpose. But he's actually emphasized purpose a lot. Well, yeah, but the dude is responsible for a very thick book called Maps of Meaning. John Fitch found JP's ideas on purpose helpful. Well, good, but I think he needs to focus primarily on purpose. And there's a lot of guys that are doing. I have no doubt that John Fitch would definitely key in on those elements. First of all, Jordan Peterson has his cult following, and I don't mean that in like, ooh, cult. I mean, he's got like a following of guys online who are going to, hang on his every word, just like they do on mine. Great, fine. But I think that the message tends to be more woo-woo magical thinking, woo-woo meaning. Meaning to me, anyways, and this is from the rollotomassi school here, meaning to me is what Ryan Stone would call a container word. It's like guys saying, oh, you're just having all this meaningless sex. No, I've never had meaningless sex. I've meant to bang every girl I ever bang. Because the way, what is meaning to you is subjective. That's the problem I have. Purpose can be objective, very objective. What is it that you're good at? What's your talents? How are you going to discover those things? You're not going to discover them if you're jerking off to porn and you're sedated. You're not going to be able to do. We have systematically in this country for the last 55, maybe 60 years, and I think this is by design, have systematically changed men's opinions of masculinity and themselves. You want to know why they're purposeless and rudderless in life right now? Is because by design, we say, masculinity is subjective. We call women Captain Marvel, right? We'll make superheroes out of females. We will actively disadvantage men in understanding or even trying to find that purpose. Maybe it was in college. Maybe it was in trade school. Maybe it was just in learning stuff on their own. But we actively disadvantage men and we sedate men, whether that's with Adderall or Ritalin or pornography or alcohol or OxyContin or whatever that damn sedation is. During that sedation, we tell men, oh man, it's so bad to be you. Sucks to be you. Go, girl. We keep doing that. And guys will never find that purpose or never find the direction that they should go in life if we're too busy navel gazing about meaning. What's meaningful? Well, what's meaningful might be you just sitting at home jerking off. Maybe that's meaning. It's just for me. It's for you. It's everybody. Well, let's all get drunk and high and let's talk about, maps of meaning or 12 rules for life or whatever else. I'm not saying that he doesn't talk about purpose. Sure, he does. But the emphasis is on what I call Carl Jung, right? It's all is this a meaningful experience or is this not a meaningful? Well, what the fuck is that? From an evolutionary perspective, men are problem solvers. That's what we do. Men are interested in things. Women are interested in people. And we've told generation after generation of guys that their purpose should be being interested in people, meaningful, meaning this, meaning that. Purpose, function. Where are you going to go? What problems are you going to solve? What are you going to create? You're discontent. Great. Well, I need to find meaning before I can be a creative and content individual. No, because you will never find contentment. The machine was not built to be content. The machine was not built to last, and the machine was not built to be content. How are you going to deal with that? Creatively or destructively? Or are you just going to sit there and be sedated and fat and happy and searching for some esoteric meaning of life? Or are you going to go and get something done? I think the answer up to this point has been like, I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. We can see that every day. That's why guys are fat. That's why guys are rudderless. That's why guys are floundering right now, because they're getting conflicting messages. They got guys telling them, oh, masculinity, I never got it. I've had guys in this freaking chat right now. At the past 3 hours, I've had guys talking about like, how do I do friendship? How do I figure out women? How do I understand social cues? How do I get some kind of social intelligence? How do I do this? How do I do that? And it's like, well, the reason why you're at where you're at is because you've been sedated. You've been sold a bill of goods. That's why I call it blue pill conditioning. You've been conditioned to think in these terms. It's old order of thinking, but you've been conditioned to do these things. Well, what are you talking about? Well, if you're going to sit there and, vacillate on what's meaningful and what's not, that doesn't put you towards your purpose. That doesn't put you towards something that's going to, maybe you'll find meaning in that purpose. Who knows? It's subjective, whereas purpose seems to me more objective. Men, like I said before, are interested in things, and we're innately idealists. We see a river and we want to put a bridge across it. We want to see what's on the opposite side of that. Let's go to fly to the moon. Why? I don't know, just to do it. Kick ass. Let's go. Let's take a buggy. Let's drive a car on the moon. How awesome would that? Yeah, fuck yeah, muddin'. That's no greater male thing in the world. Let's go take a car up to the moon and drive. Why? I don't know. Nobody else has done it. Cool. Let's go. Let's climb to the top of Kilimanjaro. Why? It seems so high and dangerous. That's why. Purpose. Well, you think at the top of Kilimanjaro or on the moon, they go, oh, I found meaning here. No. It's solving problems. Why are guys rudderless and purposeless today? Because there's no more problems to solve. I talked about exactly this in the last part of religion. We're at a point right now where we only have the final frontier. We only have one frontier left to explore. And that's like outer space, right? Let's go to Mars. Let's put a colony on Mars. No pragmatic reason to do so, but let's maybe figure one out. Maybe we find it in the process, but we got to figure out how we're going to get there. But you want to know why our movies are boring and contrived? Because the stories have been told a million times. Why do SJWs always want to put their narratives into like classic franchises like Marvel and Star Wars, and you name any movie that's sort of a remake of another movie, or like a classic franchise like Predator or Die Hard, whatever. Anytime there's like a Terminator's a great one, or Ghostbusters, right? Oh, the all-female version of Ghostbusters. Why does that seem like a good idea? Well, because it's a franchise people are still kind of familiar with. It seems cute. And now we're going to use it as a vehicle for this new narrative. Because if we tried to make a real original movie that had this narrative, nobody would watch it. They're only watching it for nostalgia value. And let's cram a bunch of resistance and hate Trump and racial issues and sex issues and everything that we can cram into this thing because we think people are going to enjoy it. And it falls flat because the story's been told before. That's why you want to know why Mandalorian is sort of saving the franchise for Star Wars right now, is because it's returning back to those old. There's still the girl power crap in it, and they'll ruin it. By the way, I think people who are thinking that Mandalorian is going to save the Star Wars franchise from the last three like abortions of a movie, those last three were, give it another season. I guarantee you they will fuck it up. Someone somewhere will. Favreau will move on to something else, or Filoni will move on to, they'll both move on to something else, and they'll apply it to some other spin-off, and they'll give Mandalorian to the female director, whoever that is, or they'll give it to the SJW director, and it'll completely fuck it up. It's great now. It's fun. And the reason it's fun is because it goes back to the old school storytelling. But it's still telling the old stories with old characters. There's nothing new. There's no more, we figured things out. The frontiers are gone. So we have to figure out ways to either simulate those things, tell stories that are basically the same old stories in a new way, but nobody wants to hear those because they sound sexist and racist and not woke enough for us to really invest ourselves into. And I tend to focus on the sexual side of things, like the intersexual dynamic side of things, but there's nothing new. There's no new frontier. So we look for new thrills or old thrills that we think are new. So we get into sedating ourselves. We'll take ayahuasca, right? That'll be new. No, it's not. You're just you're just turning your brain into silly putty. You're having a physical experience that you think is metaphysical. Well, I took peyote and I entered the spirit realm. Well, that's what they thought back in the day, but I can show you how it affects your brain. Psychotropics affect your brain. Well, okay, that's the practical side of it, but did I find meaning? I don't know. Did you? Confession time. We're at the end of the show, so I'm going to tell you this. I've taken LSD 3 times. Not in the recent history. I took LSD for the first time when I was 19, and I really could see why people enjoyed it. I've taken mushrooms. I did not find God through mushrooms, but it was back when I was living in Santa Cruz, California, and I've done various drugs, but I know what they do to my brain and to other people's brains, and I get it. I get what alcohol does to people. I get what certain other drugs do to you. Like I won't take Vicodin. I won't take OxyContin. I won't take any like opiates for pain. I'll take aspirin, right? I'll take naproxen, I guess, if I have a backache or something. I don't really have any use for it. I understand why people get addicted to it because it's sedation. It helps you just sort of like deal with the bullshit. So, but are you finding meaning in that? Like, how come it is that we can say, well, I'm going to take ayahuasca and I'm going to in the Amazon rainforest and lick a poison frog or whatever. And that's going to be me entering the spirit realm. But like, if I get addicted to OxyContin and I'm not in my right mind, that's not, because I'm accessing different parts of my brain, or I'm feeling in a different way, or I didn't hallucinate on this and I did on this. So hallucination is part of that. I don't think so. Do woman pronouns. Learn your goddamn pronouns. Do women default to viewing you as a boyfriend material if you have money before you have the opportunity to present yourself in a sexual way through game? That's a possibility. It depends on how you present yourself, though. Like you can be millionaire playboy dude, right? I mean, you can be a hot dude and have money. And that might add to either your mystery or your challenge, or might add to the attraction factor of things. What turns guys, don't think of it in those terms though. Don't think, oh, well, I have money, so no woman's going to see me as a alpha guy. No, don't think in those terms. Here's what you think as is what are you telegraphing to that woman through your actions, through the medium is the message, works for women just as well as it does for guys. I had to write the story. I had to write that essay so guys could figure out that the medium is the message for themselves, because they think, oh, women are giving me these confusing mixed messages. No, they're not. And you, as a guy, are not conveying mixed messages to her either. She understands the medium is the message. In fact, because women are so adept at communication, they pick up on things that you don't even realize that you're telegraphing to them. And that's what I'm talking about. Is if she sees you as a boyfriend material, if you have money, well, money's part of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she makes you boyfriend material. Boyfriend material is telegraphed through your attitudes, through your mindset, through your speech, for sure. What you're telegraphing to her, what you're saying before, like, I wrote this is in book 1. It's called Dijo sin hablando, which is speak without speaking. You do that without knowing that you're doing that. You will speak to women. You will communicate things. That's why RSD and the old PUA guys, like Mystery and back in those days, they always talk about sub-communications, because women are picking up on those things. Even if they're not conscious that they are, they're subconscious. They're hindbrains. They're on a limbic level. You're communicating things that she's getting that you don't realize that you're broadcasting to her. It's the same thing when a guy goes from like being a fat ass to being like in shape, and his behavior changes, or his voice changes, or his confidence changes. Like you say, well, I got more confidence because I am now ripped and I've put on muscle and whatever else. Yeah, but the reason why you have that confidence is because you are rewarded for it, because you manifest different behaviors because you look better. And when women say, oh, well, he's hot and I want to get to know this guy, and no woman prior to you getting yourself hot has ever given you those kinds of IOIs, you're going to behave in a way that you have never behaved. Your personality will change. Say, well, are you going to change when you got money? Are you going to change when you're hot and fit? You goddamn right I'm going to change. I think guys should embrace that, honestly. But you're going to do it anyways. You don't realize you will, but you will. The same thing applies. Now, that's the success side of things. The same thing applies if you're a failure. And by fail, I mean that in a subjective sense, right? So if you're an average frustrated chump, you're probably going to manifest behaviors and talk in ways and carry yourself, let's say, according to that mindset. So when a woman says, oh, he's boyfriend material, it's usually because subconsciously she picked it up and it made its way to her cognitive awareness. And now she realizes, I'll make him jump through some hoops and see if I want him as a boyfriend. It's the same thing I talk about when I discuss my poor girls, right? The conversation, like, would you have sex with a guy on the first date. And the other poor girl goes, well, or have you? She's like, oh yeah, of course I have. But I would never do it if he was boyfriend material. So here's how you find that out. How to fight is she making rules for you? I don't care how much money you have, how good looking you are, how much you love puppy dogs. I don't care what it is. Is she making rules for you? And are you obeying those rules? Are you just, okay, honey, I'll wait till the third date to kiss you? Are you obeying her rules? Or is she even saying that? Is she giving you overt rules? That's a good indication. If so, she probably sees you as boyfriend material beta. If she's breaking rules for you, then you can reasonably assume that she's into you and she has some genuine desire for you, and you can experiment and push the envelope a little bit more in that situation. If she's the break the rules girl, you know what you know. If she's the make the rules girl, you know what you know. Shy drummer. There are no shy drummers. Hey, Rollo, not really following the subject here, but I like the intro song. You are welcome. I'm glad you do. Drum, guitar collab. So what's your biggest influence on the guitar? God, who isn't an influence on my guitar? Okay, so people ask me about this, and I kind of should have said this at the beginning of the show, not the end. So the music that I play at the very beginning, which is like the Are You Entertained thing, that comes from a song that I put together back in like 2005. And I kind of when I decided I was going to do this show like as a real show, and I wanted to have some sort of intro music, I went back to that and I cut it up a little bit and I reworked it a little bit and I changed the drum track a little around. I might actually turn that into a song with my band Trial of Ascension. I'm going to run it by my friend CJ and see if he wants to do something with that. But it comes from a song that I did a while ago. I could put it out there and you guys could have it, but I'd rather you didn't until I rework it and see if we can do something with it in the band that I'm in right now. But that was me. So that explains that. Guitar influences. I'm really distraught that Alexi from Children of Bodom died recently. It kind of sucks. Just to cap off 2020, right? I like a lot of different guys. I mean, the guitarists that influenced me back when I was a kid were like Randy Rhoads. Obviously, Eddie Van Halen. I was, in case people don't know this, I was born and raised in Pasadena, California. And I remember when Van Halen sort of came, I was young. I was like 9, 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that when, let's see, 78, I would have been 10. So it would have been like when the first albums came out, I would have been 10 years old. But nobody in Pasadena didn't know about Van Halen. They were like the most popular. I mean, they're the hometown heroes, right? So, everybody knew Eddie, or somebody knew somebody who knew Eddie, or Dave, or Michael Anthony. I actually have rockstar story again. I can remember one time I went to this place. It was in Monrovia, California. I was playing a gig there at this place called the Papillons. And I go into the bathroom like right prior to my gig, because I usually try to piss before I was playing, and like right next to me in the stall next to me, and he'll never remember this, but Michael Anthony was in the stall next to me, and I actually started a conversation with him while we were taking a piss. So guitar wise, old school shredders. I like George Lynch. Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme was a good one, and then of course the old thrashers. I like. Kerry King was good. I'm trying to think who else. Was it Dave Aguilar? Aguilar's great. Death Angel. I don't think who else like was an inspiration to me as far as guitar playing was. There's a lot. I could probably sit here all day and you rattle off names you'd never remember. And then a lot of people don't know this about me too, is I also studied Latin and flamenco guitar for about 8 years. So I like, obviously Segovia, Paco. I like, who else? I'm trying to think of Olinka was a great one. Who else? Anyway, there's a lot. So I just because I really like Latin guitar, and by that I mean flamenco Latin kind of style stuff. I also play, that was actually because I studied classical for a while, and I found classical kind of like too rigid, so I got into playing Latin guitar. Right now, I am figuring out how to play a bouzouki, an Irish bouzouki, which I have. Go look that one up. I really like old school instruments. I don't, maybe it's just an old guy thing, but I've been interested in like kind of classical instruments like a lute, and I want to get a hold of a lute, like a real lute, like probably like a 12-course lute, maybe or 10-course lute, something like that. And I'm also looking to get, and I can't remember the name of it. Maybe it's a pipa or something like that. It's a Japanese kind of guitar. Oh, I also play cigar box guitar too. So anything with strings, basically, as I can play. Let's see. Anybody else? David Gilmour. Yeah, he's all right. I like Pink Floyd. I think Pink Floyd were really good as like compositional musicians. I like their compositions. Rollo, what is your thought on new James Bond movie with the female 007? I think it's par for the course. As I was saying before, we're perfect example. Go read book 4. At the very end of book 4, I say this: is there's no new frontiers, so we're looking for old frontiers to insert a new narrative into. This perfect example. What about the new 007? Even, was it James Craig? Is that what the guy's name is? Even that guy is not really James Bond. He's sort of like the kinder, gentler James Bond. So why not, right? Let's make James Bond or Janine Bond and whatever. Make her a black female. I don't know. Whatever seems like it's going to. Like, I think one of the problems we have with our entertainment right now, or our entertainment to me, anyways, and this is my personal take on this, is storytelling. What stories are we telling? And what's the vehicle that we're using for those stories? Are we writing something new? Can we write another Lord of the Rings? Can we write another Star Wars? Can we write another James Bond, right? Can we write those things? Can we write something that is equally as engaging as those classic franchises? And my answer is no, we can't, if we're inserting all of this, if we're using those things as a vehicle for a socio-political narrative. And by that, I mean like gynocentric social order, social justice, all that other. We can't do those things because it's contrived. It will always be contrived if you're stuffing that into it. And I think on some level of consciousness, we realize, and it's not just a generational thing, we just realize the disingenuousness of it. So can we write those things? I think we can. But the problem is we won't, because if we were to write something that is on par with like the hero's journey or old school Star Wars, like the first 3 movies, you're never going to see another movie like Empire Strikes Back, which is it's unresolved, and it has kind of like a kind of ominous ending to it. It's not meant to be a complete movie. It's meant to be a transition from one to the. It's telling an overall 3-movie story, but we won't do those. Or if we do, like I think right now, a lot of people are hooked on the what I call the Netflix series, binge series format right now. Is we don't write a complete story from start to end. There's no resolution to it. There's no resolving of the story. It's not like here's the beginning, here's the antagonist, the protagonist, it's like classic storytelling where it resolves at the end. It's always like this convoluted, like why did the Joker do this? Oh, let's find out. He's so disturbed and he's just this tortured hero who's just driven to madness and evil, but he's still evil. There's no bad guys and good guys anymore. There's no Darth Vader versus Luke anymore. It's like Darth Vader because it's like if you go and you look at what the hell is Adam Driver? I don't even know. I see that's how memorable the characters are. I don't even remember Adam Driver's character name in the last 3 Star Wars movies. That guy, the guy who was Han Solo's son. I don't even know the dude's name, but that is like the epitome of why things suck so bad in Hollywood right now, because we're retelling stories that have already been told, but we're cramming all of this narrative into it because we think it's a vehicle to like, well, you change people's minds. We're going to make sure that everybody feels included in this. Well, the reason why those franchises were successful is because they focused on the story. They focus on the plot. They focus on the characters. Now we're used to 8 episodes of whatever series is on. I'm kind of glad that Disney has decided to like make the Mandalorian series like one at a time. Not like here's eight episodes, watch them all. That kind of ruins the fun, I think. But you can do that. I mean, I like I watched the series Ozark on Netflix, and I had never seen it, and I started watching it back in March because in the lockdown I'm like, oh, what am I going to watch? I feel like I've tapped out Netflix and Amazon Prime and a lot of these. There's nothing, absolutely nothing I want to watch. There's nothing. People keep talking about this, and I'm hella off topic right now, but they keep talking about like, what is it? WandaVision. And Tim Pool said, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. And I'm like, great, I was going to watch it. Now I don't think I'm going to watch it now. I don't really care. I'm like going back to old movies right now. I'm actually thinking about writing. I'm going to get into writing some fiction pretty soon and see, just kind of throw it out there and see, test the waters and see if I'm any good at it. Because I'm not going to, I hate it that like Ozark, for example, is a good example of this. It follows this plot structure, which is what's going to happen. It's like the serial, and I mean like serial, S-I-E-R, S-E-R, whatever. You know what I mean? Serial Pulp Fiction kind of thing. It's the Breaking Bad formula. Well, how are they going to get out of this one? Oh my God, the feds are going to get them. The drug dealers are going to shoot them. Oh my God, I can't believe they killed that character. Now what's going to happen? That hang on the edge of your seats kind of thing. That's great. But what it does is it sort of conditions us to our storytelling to be like in a serial. Like there's no start, middle, and end. There's no resolving of it. God forbid somebody throw out a great sci-fi movie or a great fantasy movie right now that ends with the first movie. It always has to be like optioned for like sequels that come after it, because that's what we expect. Oh, it's great. Let's milk that cow a little bit longer. Well, the cow's dead for some of these franchises because we don't have any more frontiers. We don't have any more stories to tell. So we go back to what we think is novel. And the way I describe this is that we'll go back to shamanism, or we'll go back to earthy religions, or we'll go back to what we think is in some way more authentic. And so we'll try to tell these stories from a social justice / gynocentric / like wokey PC way of doing things. And then we wonder why they fall flat, or they last for a little while and then they go, like Mandalorian. Bad. I love the Mandalorian. I love it for what it is. I love it because it's kind of like old school. I love Star Wars for a long time. I hate it now. I hate that I hate it. Because the last 3 movies have been such a clusterfuck. They have been, and it's just all it is we've told all these stories, but we still have this vehicle. It's like having this old car it's a classic car. We could fix it up, but we're going to cram it full of a bunch of crap and drive it a little bit further, rather than trash the car or put it in a museum and then start something new, build a new car or build something else. But if we try to do that and stuff the narrative into it, nobody wants to watch it. So we've tapped things out, I think. Did I catch you? I did catch you. Maybe old stories were an emanation of truth. They are truth, but they resonate with us. If you guys want a really good essay on this, well, first of all, read the last part of my 4th book, which is religion, but I also got an essay called Storytelling. And I wrote it about the very first of the newest 3 Star Wars movies. And I was watching this and I was like, it's funny because it set the context for all the rest of the shitty ass Star Wars movies. And I thought Rogue One was okay. And I really liked Han Solo, the Solo one. People throw rocks at me for liking the Solo one, but you know why I liked it? It had a classic story. It was a classic kind of, happy-go-lucky kind of semi-alpha, like becoming an alpha male scoundrel. He wasn't quite what he was in Star Wars, right? But at least I think in some parts of it I really liked and some parts I really hate, but at least it told a complete story. How awesome is that? It optioned it. They could make some sequels to that, but they probably won't. But I thought it was really good because it told a complete thing. Done. Good story. Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. So I think that, yeah, does it tell about truths? Yeah. Well, okay. Metaphorical truths or objective truths? I think that one of the reasons why, like, the hero's journey and like men must become, that's a really great example of men must become. Men have to become something. Women just are. You want to know why when we turn Luke Skywalker into Rey, or we try to gender swap what should in any other story be like the hero's journey for a male? You know why those characters suck? Because the people who are writing them are trying to write them from a female perspective, and they don't understand that the hero's journey is written from a male perspective. Men must become. Women just are. Women get saved. Women are the ones that men protect. We have an innate biological evolved protector dynamic. Oh, save me, damseling, right? Remember the MRAs? Oh, you're damseling. Yeah, because that's the innate narrative. That's the script. That's what we follow. Save the princess. And if we do save the princess, then we can get laid because she'll be forever grateful that you killed the dragon and saved the lady. Innate protector dynamic. Talk about that in book 4. Go pick it up. Religion on sale now on Amazon. Yes, it is emanating truth, but it's truth that appeals to us archetypally, but it's because of the machine. It's because of what we evolved for. It's because of sexual dimorphism. It's because of our innate proclivities that we have that completely destroy any semblance of the blank slate or social constructionism. That's why those old franchises suck when you try to cram that into it, because the old franchises were successful because when they were written without this, touchy-feely blank slate. We're all going to be included. Let's resonate with everybody. Let's try to make everybody happy narrative. They weren't. They were trying to tell a great story, and they did. It just so happened that they all happened to be white, or the hero was male, or whatever, right? You want that story? Go tell it yourself. Go write another one. The formula works. Don't take the old one and try to say, oh, well, it should be something different. We're going to make everybody feel better because these were injustices that we need to correct in this old franchise. And you're going to have a shitty version of the old franchise. Write something new. You can do it. Please do it. We need it. I need it. I can't watch this. Nothing on Netflix. I should start screenwriting. Maybe I should do that and write everything from like a red pill perspective. Thank you. Happy Sunday to you too. Cheers. I'm going to close out here in just a second, so don't send me any more, please. I told you not to, but you insist. David Franco Jr. says, I used to get ridiculed for believing this when I was younger. In fact, I still get ridiculed for holding this position. Yeah, and you will. And you need to be tougher and stronger, and you'll grow. It builds character, David. Manny Singe. Sing? Is that sing or singe? Singa. Singa? Sing. Have you seen a book called Artiste on Game? Yes, I've read it. It's basically a lot of his old school posts, which I have read since 2004, 2006. The author's name is Chateau Artiste. Really? Is that what? I'll have to look that guy up. I've never heard of Chateau. Do you think it's Royce? I think that the book of Artiste is actually part of it is Royce. Do I risk giving my $10 to a phony grifter? Let me explain something to you, Manny, really quickly here, just so everybody can all be on the same page. Royce, I love. Okay, I think he is a great dude, but the guys who are in charge of Artiste right now, the Artiste site, which is no longer Artiste, it got banned. It got kicked off WordPress of all places from back in 2019. And I was like losing my shit because I was like, oh man, because I'm on WordPress. So I had to make sure I had private hosting, and I had to make things a little more secure for myself. But it wasn't because of red pill stuff. It's because he was agitating like for racial stuff and alt-right stuff and ethno-nationalism and, you know, race realism and IQ this and IQ that. That's not me, and I'm not going to ever get into that. I get into intersectional dynamics and anything that crosses over maybe into, you know, race or religion or politics or whatever. I'll do it if there's crossover, but I'm not like, hey, let's talk about, you know, separating from whatever. You know, I'm not talking about ethno-nationalism anytime soon because I don't follow that stuff. But so Heartiste is Royce to an extent. Back in 2009, Royce went, he was actually going to close what was called the Chateau. It wasn't called Chateau Heartiste. In fact, it wasn't even called Heartiste back then. It was like Royce in DC, I think is what they called it. And then it was, and he referred to the blog as the Chateau. And then in 2009, he got doxxed. And I can tell you who did it too. It was this, it came from within. It was one of his commenters, and it was, as far as I know, a woman named Lady Rain or something like that, and tried to get him doxxed. I don't know that he has a government job, but he was fearful of losing his job as a result of that. Like he got doxxed, and he's one of the earliest guys to ever get canceled was going to get canceled back in 2009. He was going to close the blog, but the blog was the #1 most trafficked site in the manosphere at the time, and that was Royce's blog. Mine was up there, the Rational Male was up there, and Roosh's old site was up there as well. There's a few others, like the Spearhead was around at the time, and there's some other ones I can't remember. Malafide was Fide, whatever, was one too. Those are all dead. All those blogs, everyone I've just mentioned except for my own is gone. And so rather than destroying or deleting the blog back in 2009, my guess is that he sold it to some guys who sort of sound like him and picked it up from him and renamed the blog to Chateau Heartiste, cleaned house as far as the commentariat was concerned, and they started focusing more on racial issues and ethno-nationalism and race realism and the Jews this and whatever that. And that's when I kind of lost interest in Heartiste, except for the rare occasion when he would talk about game, because it went from a game blog to being something, or game PUA / red pill stuff, to being something that I just couldn't get behind. And so I did my own thing. So that's the story with Heartiste, and Heartiste is gone right now. You can get the archives at heartiste.org. There's archives of it. There's no new blogs, but if you want to read any of that old stuff, you can find it at heartiste.org. Now, I can't believe I'm giving it. Dalrock's site is still up, at least. Yes, it is. Thank goodness, because that really was a big help in writing book 4. I love Dalrock. I wish he would come back, but that's been a year now that it's been down. Well, not down, but he's not been doing anything with it. I'm glad he left it up though. I think enough people convinced him to leave it up as an archive. Yeah, even Dalrock's gone. So I'm the lone survivor, and I really need to do something. Actually, I'm going to do something this week. So look for a new post from me like Monday or Tuesday of this week. I've got some things in mind. I'm actually going to talk about the book a little bit, but I've got some new material, but I got some new things I want to cover. So there will be some new blog posts coming up. I really want to focus on that. Again, I'm going to be in Miami, not next week, but the week after. So I will be in Miami from the 21st through the 29th. So there you have it. That is today's show. Hope you learned something. I will see you guys again on Wednesday. Bye.